What's up, brother?
I said, bam, we're live. I wish I would have captured that. I love that.
What was that? What, I was cleaning my glasses?
Yeah. I loved it. I loved it.
Early morning workout, man. I'm fogging up my glasses.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Trials and tribulation of the fit. You're right. Sometimes I'll come in here. Yeah, that's an amazing phenomenon. Right?
Oh, dude. It's that's when think of it like this. When you're generating enough body heat to fog up a pair of glasses, your metabolism's moving. You're on your shit when your body heat's fogging up glasses.
Yeah. Hey, do you work out with your glasses, John?
Pretty rarely. I mean, it just depends. Like if I'm in a place where I'm outside, guaranteed for sure. It's if I'm in my own space, very possibly not. It just depends. Like I'm unfortunately right. I'm blind as a goddamn bat now. So 10 years ago,
close and far.
I can, like, perfect example. I could, if you held my phone 10 feet away from me, I could read it.
Okay. So, hey, do you have the letters on on the iPhone like really big? Like, do you know where the setting is to make your shit bigger?
Yeah, I get it big enough that it actually, because otherwise it turns into too many lines. It's hard to read. My dyslexia goes bananas if I got to change lines too much.
What you're in New Mexico?
No, I'm actually in California.
Oh, so, you're okay.
Yeah, because we were originally, I mean, I've been a California boy forever. We were actually up in the Bay Area for, Jesus Christ, when I graduated.
Oh, yeah,
college.
you're a 415. You're a 415.
Yeah. So basically, I think because you're thinking 414, that's New Mexico.
I just, as I was digging through your Instagram, I was looking at some of the pictures of of your home. And
yeah.
And I just thought it looked like it was the desert.
So it totally is. And so check this out. So God, it was right before Corona, about a year before Corona, we bought this house down in Baja, Mexico, and loved it down there. And so it's in the desert, and so when Corona hit, the Bay Area just went to hell in a handbag real quick. So many people, just kind of like the New York area, so many people, so tight. It just was, I used to love it there. Anyway, so.
Me too. Where were you born?
I was actually born in California, up in Marin County.
I was born in Oakland.
Right across the bay. Yeah. So basically, from the time I was born until I was about 7, I was in Marin County. Then my mom remarried. We went up into Portland, Oregon, where I went through all of my schooling, graduated from University of Portland with a major in theology and minor in philosophy, came back to California, moved to Marin County because at that time, I think it was the second most expensive county in the country to live. I figured, okay, if I can come right out of college and keep my head above water here, I'm going to be good anywhere. And so that was the plan. Go to the fastest moving current I could find, which was great because I knew that environment. I grew up there when I was, younger. So anyway, long and short of it. So when Corona hit, everything went to hell in a handbag. And I was like, I told my wife, I'm like, let's get out of here. At the time we had 2 girls that were still in the house that now are in college. So we said, as soon as they got in college, we said, let's get out of here. So we basically sold our place up in Northern Cal and came down into Southern Cal. So it's like dead in between Vegas and LA. Like the town is called Yermo, but we're 20 minutes outside this little town of like 400 people. Wow. And so it's, and we're here because of this little community. It's like 50 houses, 50 or 60 on a private lake. And everybody here has 2 homes. So very like-minded people, nobody's ever here full time. And so, but like on holiday weekends, everybody's out here rocking, having a good time, but nobody wants trouble because we're all in a place where, we've done well for ourselves. Nobody wants, it's not like, a bunch of hoodlums creating that type of trouble, so.
Spell Yermo for me. I'm looking for it on a map.
Yermo. Yeah. And if you basically, there's a lake not too far. Another reason we moved out here is because it's, people say, why did you move to Yermo? I've never heard of it. Exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Outside of Barstow. Okay.
Yeah. Trust me, we're not here for any reason other than the fact that we're out in the middle of nowhere.
And you still have your home in Baja?
Yeah. Getting ready to actually pick up a place in Vegas so that we can call that our primary residence to get rid of some of the state taxes. It's brutal.
Yeah, I get that. John, were your parents wealthy hippies? When I think of Marin County, I think of wealthy hippies.
I wouldn't say wealthy hippies, but we were pretty well off. When my mom remarried we went up to Oregon. She actually married a chemical engineer.
Okay.
He was kind of, he was a stepdad. He's the one who raised me. Really, really smart dude. Graduated from MIT in 3 years. 3 years.
Wow.
So, real smart dude. He was the one who kind of tempered me. He really, really, like I was 7 when I met him. And realistically, he was my dad. My blood dad was more like a friend. But he told me right when I met him, he says, "You're going to see me mad about as many thumbs as you can count on your hands." And I don't think I ever saw him raise his voice once. And he passed away when I was 21. So 14 years, never saw him raise his voice.
My wife, I'm 50 and I've known my wife for a long time, since I've been 23. And when we had kids, one time I was getting angry at the kids, and she said to me, "Hey, I don't have a problem with you getting mad. I don't have a problem with you getting angry. I don't have a problem with you yelling. I don't have a problem with any of that stuff. What I have a problem with is that when shit hits the fan, that you ever show our kids that getting out of control is an option." And I remember when she said that, I was like, yeah, getting out of control is it's the least cool thing that any man can do when he's just out of control. Like when a lion roars, he's not out of control. He's roaring because he fucking wants to fucking roar. And when you say that, you're going to see me get mad as many times as I have thumbs. When you get mad, it should be because you want to get mad, not because shit hit the fan and it's some sort of
and you've lost control.
Yeah, exactly. And you've lost control. Yeah.
Yeah, a lion roars to take control, not because he's lost control.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
There's a very, very big difference between losing it and getting upset and having to be firm to basically enforce the boundaries.
Yeah.
very different type of raising a voice, if you will,
Is that the kind of man you are, you think, too? Are you pretty in control?
John? I'm the same way. I don't. My wife will say the same thing. That we've been together for almost 20 years, and she'll be the first one to tell you. I raised my voice at her one time, and we look back at it and we kind of giggle. It was one of those scenarios that was kind of like a weird misunderstanding. But for the most part, for me, I don't feel good about myself when I raise my voice.
Yeah.
Because for me, when if someone's gonna be aggressive like that, I'll actually do the polar opposite. I'll get more quiet.
Right.
I don't like the whole idea of, I guess it's especially where I'm in my life right now, 51 years old, and it's crazy. As you get older, you just get so much fucking smarter. It's unbelievable. It's like, well, I shouldn't say that. You realize how little you knew. That's a better way to say getting smarter. You actually realize you didn't know shit. That's what makes you so much smarter.
I'm going to turn 51 in March too, by the way. I was born in 72. You graduated high school in 90?
90, yeah.
Yeah, me and you are the same. Yeah. Same.
Yeah, but it's crazy in the fact that I realize now that, keeping friction out of your life is actually something that is, people don't understand how good that is for your spirit. And, of course everybody talks about how, being spiritual, this and the other, but I think what people don't realize is when you're an angry person, when you're not centered, your brain is constantly releasing these negative chemicals, which beat your body down. This is why, people get sick from worrying too much. It's proven fact now. And so where I'm in my life right now, man, if something brings friction into my life, it's either going to be a system or a person to smooth that out, or I'll eliminate whatever that friction is.
Is that why you left the Bay Area?
I mean, it's at that point. I mean, I think it was. I mean, I guess you could say kind of yes, but I mean, I just stayed away. I just didn't really go out amongst everybody that was all pissed off, you know. But I guess from a standpoint of like, if you take the route of why we left, yeah, we decided to. We wanted to. That's why we're out here in the middle of nowhere, because we wanted to get into a place where we weren't affected by all of the negativity that was going on around us, you know.
Yeah. Alan Kestenbaum says, Sevan, fix your posture. You look bored. Listen, jackass. Listen, I'm as erect as I can be. It's just my chair leans back really far. That's it. Bored. How can I be bored with John Andersen in front of me? John, Jon, Jewish spelling of the name John. You're Jewish?
No, it's actually Nordic. That's the first time I've ever been called Jewish. You know, that's interesting. Yeah, so it's
I see you smart, overachiever, and Jon, and I think Jew.
Did you call me a smart overachiever? Is that what you call me?
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful, because most people look at me and think big dummy.
Yeah, I know who you are. I've listened to you talk. I know you're a smart overachiever, and you've already said a bunch of smart stuff on this show. What didn't you like? What didn't you like about the Bay Area? Was it the masking and the forced injections, or was it? Did your whole politics get turned upside down in the last couple of years?
Well, I guess it was. You know, it was kind of more of the. We in Marin County. You know, we lived on the water. It's a beautiful place, and there's a lot of money there. And so it just turned into like. I mean, I honestly, I don't leave the house much. You know, even when we're in the Bay Area, you know, I would leave the house to go to the gym. That's it, you know. But like, for example, my wife would be, you know, she'd be shopping or something like that, and she would park, you know, she'd park like way out in the back of the parking lot, and just so she could kind of keep away from people, because that's what you're supposed to be doing at these times. And she'd not have a mask off, not have a mask on. Nobody be 150 feet close to her. I mean, total social distancing. And you get people that are like, you know, she said there'd be people like looking at her and tapping their foot, like, put your mask on. It's like,
yeah, the Bay Area.
And it's like, I love the whole being liberated, you know. I love I think being, you know, being in a place where it's okay to be where you want, be who you want. I love that. That's what we need, you know. But at the same time, leave fucking people alone. Jesus Christ. Worry about yourself, you know? Yeah. Stop worrying about everybody else. If you worry about yourself, this whole thing will be over a lot faster. So anyway, so it's kind of, and then the thing that bummed me too was, you know, you start seeing like homeless camps building up.
Drug camp. I call them drug camps.
Dude, crazy. I was driving. So over in the East Bay, like in Berkeley, got real bad. I was over there one day. This is crazy. Check this out. Pulled up to a stoplight, right? And I had my window kind of partway down. And there was a guy on the street corner, and he was homeless. He whips out a syringe, shoots himself up, standing on the street corner, throws the fucking syringe on the ground and says, "This city is dirty." I'm like, dude, you just defined dirty and you're complaining about the city. And I was like, oh my Lord, you know. So, you know, stuff like that. And then it was really sad to just see, like, you know, the under overpasses, you've got just tense people, and it was just like, whoa, man, this is like really getting heavy. And it was just, I don't know. I mean, myself, I'm a believer in creating my own universe. You know, I create, you know, it's like my space is my world. You know, I practice gratefulness. I meditate. I do all sorts of things to put me into a position where, yeah, I mean, you look at that, and how can that not send a negative signal? You know, how can your brain not, you know, put negativity into your mind? Like, it's brutal. I mean, it's like, you see that stuff. It's like, just
look at all the stolen objects too, dude. All of that shit is stolen. Those shopping carts, those bicycles, that trash can, those trash cans, everything there is stolen. Those tarps, those umbrellas, those are all stolen from people.
So I look at that, and you can hear me like start to talk. Like I don't even know really what to say to it. It's like, whoa, I don't want that. What that is, that's negative input going into my universe.
Interesting.
I don't want that. I don't want that. That's why we moved out here. People say, why did you move? When we first moved here, because like I said, the biggest city is, or they shouldn't say city, it's Barstow, which is kind of an armpit of a town. Even the people that live there will say that. But Yermo is our address. Why'd you move? You came from Marin County to here. Why? And I was like, because we wanted to get away. What are we looking at there?
That's Oakland. That's the Oakland.
Oh my God. Yeah. So,
hey, and that's just so people know, this isn't like rare. Like if you go to the Bay Area, you'll see
it's
these
all over the place.
You'll think you're in India. Yeah.
It's everywhere. Look
at Allison. It's everywhere. Yeah, it's everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's really sad. And like I said, it's negative input coming into my mind. So, out here, I mean, literally, it's like I said, we're 50 homes on a private lake. It's a gated community. You can't get in unless you got the code.
How's the lake? You swim in the lake?
Oh yeah, you can fish. It's stocked with fish. You can swim. You can boat. You can jet ski. Yeah, I mean it's a beautiful. The environment out here is exactly what I want it to be. That makes sense. I got my gym right on premises, so it's like it's perfect. What is Trish saying?
John, my grandson, Artemis, ran your deep water beginner routine, and I had to buy him all new shirts. He blew up in size overnight. Great programming.
Right on. I'm glad that he enjoyed it. Tell him to keep kicking ass. That's beautiful.
Souza, meet John. John Souza.
Hey, John.
Is Trish fucking with us? Is Trish fucking with us?
100%, yeah.
Oh, that's brutal.
You're a hoe. You're a hoe, Trish.
Jesus Christ.
I don't know.
The funny part is I get shit like that all the time. So that's not abnormal at all.
Right, absolutely. Hey, you don't just blow people up. You got a bunch of 100-pound weight loss stories on your Instagram account.
Oh yeah. No, I mean here's the thing.
Oh, she says she's not. I am not. Okay.
You can never tell it, Trish.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay.
Well, see, here's the thing that I look at is that really when it comes down to it, I'm in the business and this is not what, when you look at my account, you don't see this, but this is really what's going on. I'm in the business of changing lives. And obviously helping somebody reach their goals, it's a little deeper than that. It's helping them do something they didn't think was possible, whether it's losing 100 pounds or benching 405, whatever that goal is, because I'm a big believer in, yes, you can. Obviously, you got to have the proper guidance. You got to have the proper information. There's a formula to get there. And another thing that I promote is, people are so afraid of failure. Failure is, you can't be successful without failure. I mean, you fail, you learn, you innovate, you repeat. You fail, you learn, you innovate, you repeat. Like in my own personal discovery of failure, like when I was really learning to use it to the fullest advantage, I would get in a squat rack. I used to do this all the time, 700 pounds, because 700 pounds was kind of that roughly 10-ish. So I pull out 700 pounds.
10-ish, 10 reps at 700?
Yeah, sometimes it'd be 9, sometimes it'd be 11, but that double digit was a nut, Anyway, I'd pull it out. No spotter, no intention of putting it away. And so you're basically going into this realizing, I'm going to go until I fail. Do you know how helpful that is in getting your mind to register that failure is necessary? I mean, Michael Jordan had the most, and forgive me if this stat's been taken away from him, but he had the most game-winning shots ever. Well, he also had to have the most game-losing shots to achieve the most game-winning shot stat. So it's like if you can beat down your perception of failure and get rid of the negative connotation and make it positive. And like when I'm helping people in their programs, say, look, I need you to make mistakes. Those mistakes that's gonna tell me how I need to help you. Don't think it's gonna be perfect. It's okay. Just move forward. Let the mistakes happen. Those mistakes is how I'm going to help you. Those failures is how I'm going to recognize where you need help. And so to answer your question about my page and the people I help, as long as the number one thing I want is open-mindedness. If someone's not open-minded, I can't help you. Because if you're going to go back to what you think you know, well, clearly that shit wasn't working.
Yeah. I can't remember the exact line, but Greg Glassman, the creator of CrossFit, was saying, always talked about, hey, you need to hang out past the margins of your failure. And then I've heard Serena Williams, or not Serena Williams. I heard someone talk about Serena Williams in this way, that in practice she should be failing at least 51% of the times, trying stuff that causes her failure, or else you are not getting better unless you are failing.
Well,
it's an interesting idea, but it's impossible to refute, right?
Yeah. I mean, anybody who's been very successful will completely endorse failing, because that's how they get there. And, and to put it a little bit, sometimes people have a hard time swallowing failure like that. So kind of what I say, look, you need to learn to get uncomfortable, because when you're uncomfortable, you're flirting with failure at very least. Some people don't have the guts just to dive in and say, okay, here we go. I'm going to do the best I can. And if I fail, it's okay. You'll get there through working with it. But a lot of times people they just don't have the mental strength or the heart or the guts to do it. So the next thing is, okay, let's just get you uncomfortable. Because when you're uncomfortable, you're willing to do the things you wouldn't do when you're comfortable. And for me, that's been one of my mottos. If I'm comfortable, I start getting nervous, because that means I'm not progressing. And the whole idea of, like, I have a rigid schedule for myself, because that schedule keeps me on, basically keeps me uncomfortable. When I'm off my schedule, that's when I tend to be, I become a little more comfortable. And there are times when I want to be comfortable, but I plan those times.
What do you mean your schedule keeps you uncomfortable?
Because I make sure every night before I go to bed, I plan the next day. And it's planned with detail. It's not just get up and do this and do that. It's planned with detail. So I know what I'm going to be doing. I know how I'm going to be challenging myself. And I need to register that some of the shit that I'm doing gives me, I may not want to do it. B, it might scare me. C, there's just a whole series of things that I look for when I plan my day that tell me it's going to push me outside my comfort zone. It's going to push me into new space, because to grow, we can't just repeat the same shit we did yesterday or today. You have to, just like whoever you quoted, you have to constantly be stepping outside your boundaries. That's what keeps you growing. And what people tend to not understand is people get too connected to physical, tangible things. Those don't really make you happy. They're fun to fuck around with other people. But what really keeps a person happy is that growth, that achievement, that daily stepping forward. When I go to bed at night and I'm ready to go to sleep because the day was, I know that I pushed myself. I know that I broke some new ground. It's like my spirit, it's like that part deep inside me is ready to go to sleep. It's ready to rest and recharge to do it again the next day. If I didn't find a way to progress, then I feel very, I guess I'm uneasy. It's like my spirit is waiting for that. It's kind of like, spirit food, getting outside your comfort zone, progressing, growing as a person. That's what we need to feel whole, to get up and want to do it again the next day. It's like happiness is like a reaction from something. If you're always searching for happiness, it comes and goes. What people need to understand is there's daily joy. Do you enjoy what you're doing? And if you enjoy what you're doing every day, that's fulfilling. That's what makes a person happy, not just working for the next moment of happiness. Moments of happiness are great, and they're definitely a part of the equation. But are you challenging yourself enough every day to feel like you're fulfilled? I mean, it can be as simple as pushing yourself physically further than you did the day before. Pushing yourself physically will bring a person a lot of fulfillment. And I'm not talking about just lifting weights. I'm talking about any level of pushing yourself, any type of pushing yourself.
John, as you say this, I'm thinking like, bear with me. This is just off the cuff, but you could have a 50,000 followers on Instagram. You could have 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. You could get up to 1 million subscribers on YouTube. You could get up to 10 million on Instagram, and there'll never be fulfillment there because it's all outside of you. Then you could do something like get strong and work out, and there is significantly more fulfillment there. But that shit's going to go away, right? Like you're not going to be able to bench 700 forever. Well, let me say one more thing, and then I'll relinquish the floor to you. But if you learned how to juggle, let's say you just learned one new joke every day, or you learn one new magic trick every day, or you learn how to speak another language, or because I one time saw the statistics of the number of people who can juggle 3 balls versus 4 balls. It's like a fucking crazy. It's got to be. It's a crazy drop off. And then you get up to like 13 or 14 balls, and there's like 1 or 2 guys in the world that can do it. It starts getting like this, even like at 10 balls, right? And as I was hearing you talk, I was like, maybe that's one of the things that comes with age too. That like. Those are the things you got to kind of put in the bank, right? More jokes, more magic tricks, being able to juggle more balls, maybe speak a foreign language, just shit you can keep forever that will add to fulfillment.
Well, and the thing about, like, for me, a big part of fulfillment now is like I'm reading, I'm always studying, I'm always learning something. The learning is a huge part of fulfillment for me. But what you were saying about, training and benching this or whatever, those statistics. Yeah. So what people miss about that is that's just a gauge, the pounds, the reps. That's just a gauge for your progression. So as long as you find another gauge for progression, you're still progressing. And that's what people tend to not realize is that, okay, we're talking pounds, we're talking reps, we're talking weightlifting, statistical, progression language. Well, there's 1,000 ways to progress. In terms of whether it be you change your style of training, maybe you're not worried about weight, you're worried about reps. Maybe you just lose interest in lifting weights altogether and you decide to start doing jiu-jitsu. Maybe you start to run. It doesn't matter. The difference is continue that progression. All you got to do in life is you're just constantly pivoting. It's like, at 51, I'm not concerned with, like I was telling that story about how I became one with failure. That was in my 30s. I have no interest in putting 700 pounds on my back and squatting till failure at 51 because that's something I did, and I learned what I needed to learn from that. I'm on to different types of I'm on to, I hate to say bigger, better fish, but to, frying up bigger, better, fish. But so it's kind of the truth because as you grow, you're always on to something a little bigger and better. That's the beautiful thing about the progression. And I think that's where so many people just kind of miss it. They find themselves in this trap of life where they're waking up, they're commuting to work, they're doing something they really don't enjoy. Then they got to drive home. By the time they get home, they're tired. Hopefully they can go to the gym because that's the one piece of their day that's going to allow them to feel like they've progressed. But a lot of people come home, they watch TV. They're involved in this just kind of mindless day in, day out ritual. And they live for Saturday only because it's the day they don't have to do the shit they don't want to do Monday through Friday. Right. And no one, I got to be honest. If that's the life I lived, I'd be mad as hell. No wonder people are pissed off. They're living in this life of being completely unfulfilled, whether they know it or not. That's got to be really fucking maddening.
What have you ever been on a cruise?
Yeah, I'm actually taking 2 of my daughters are in college. We're going on a cruise a few weeks from now. But yeah, I've been in a few of them.
Whenever I go on those, and I've only been on one, but I see this group of people. I see I saw that group of people you're talking about. I saw a group of people that I feel like, holy shit, they worked 5 years so that they could save the money to sit on this boat and eat as much sugar as they can for 2 weeks. And I felt sorry for them, kind of. I don't know if felt sorry is the right word, but I was like, holy shit, this is a fucked up existence.
Well, because that's what it is. A very unenlightened existence. They've been, see, the thing about it is most people are programmed this way and they don't even know who or what programmed. It's like they just watched and they learned all these people around them do the same shit. So they just fall right in line with doing it as well. It's like we're all kind of bred to, shit, the sun's coming and hit me. Is that bother? Is that
No, you look good. You look good.
Okay.
Looks like a movie set.
Yeah. So, but it's like most of us, like going back to failure, just the term failure. Most of us don't even know why we're afraid of it. Most people don't know why they avoid it. They just know it's uncomfortable. Nobody ever told them anything.
Why do we avoid it?
I mean, I'll tell you, as soon as you learn not to avoid it, life changes real quick. Hey, I'm going to close this. I'm going to close this shade 1 second. Yes.
Yep. Do what you got to do.
There we go.
So every day that you're not flirting with failure, it's just a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, what I believe is if you plan your day and you can plan failing into your day every day, you're going to be a happier person. But that also means you've redefined what failure is. Failure is a tool to progress. It's not a tool to get frustrated. It's not a tool to feel bad about yourself. It's a tool to progress. It's just most people, it's been, the definition of failure is skewed. They were not taught the proper definition of what failure is. It's you cannot be successful without failure. It's just the way it is. I mean, there's no two ways about
it. And without exception, if you're the best at what you do, you failed the most.
Well, I mean, look at going back to Michael Jordan. He missed 9,000 shots in his career. That's a lot of failure to be one of the best players ever. I mean, failing 9,000 times. I mean, look what that did to him.
Audrey says, Allison, I have the same brain as him. I think she means you. I feel like I have to get the absolute most out of every day, and I'm always doing something. I got to learn something every day, even if it's a fact from Trish.
Yes.
Trish, this guy is spitting facts. Eric Brandt, sometimes you are just trying to slow the regression. Age 69.
69.
Yes, definitely 69. Do you sweat every day pretty hardcore?
Oh, I have to break sweat every day. I'm a happier person but here's the thing. It's people think, oh, is it training? No, you know what this is? This is called promoting your brain to give you the positive chemicals that come along with breaking a sweat. Here's something that it's crazy. Most people, I mean, it wasn't until a few years ago that I started to understand some of this stuff. So an average, and forgive me when I use these numbers, they're not exact, but I'm talking from a principle standpoint. An average person has anywhere between like 50 and 100,000 thoughts per day, right? Most, if not all, I hate to say all because I don't know that for sure, but most of those thoughts are going to be accompanied by a chemical from your brain. So if you have primarily negative thoughts, your brain is primarily pumping negative chemicals into your bloodstream, which means literally it's proof now that people can worry themselves sick.
Yeah.
Well, now they're trying to prove that people can actually heal themselves with positive thinking. And this is not just, when you say positive thinking, people dismiss it. Oh, just can't think positively. Everything works. No, I agree. Don't think positive thinking. Think about getting the negative shit out. When I trained, like I've always been a go-getter. Like I'm always like, I'm up, I'm going. I used to wake up and immediately my brain would go to the problems I had to solve for the day. Well, in many cases, that was accompanied with some level of friction or stress. So right away, most of my life, my brain's been releasing negative chemistry into my bloodstream. And I've just been, obviously making me a little uncomfortable right out of bed. So I'm on my way. Yes. But what I didn't realize is that if you start your day and you train your mind to get rid of all the negative thought process and allow your brain to see the good in what's going on around you, you're in a completely different space. Then when you attack your day, you're seeing things differently. You're seeing a more efficient way to get things done. you're using the information that you get from a failure is perceived, and you learn and you innovate better. That makes sense. It's like you literally don't think positive thinking. Think get rid of the negative shit, because then you're left with neutral or good thoughts. And I'm telling you right now, it's crazy how much better you can make your day by eliminating the negative shit, the negative thought process, especially in the first, like for me to train myself to do this, I have an alarm that wakes me up, and then 2 minutes later I have another alarm, which was just in time for me to finish taking a piss. That would remind me that all that alarm just went off, and it was just reminded me to not let my brain go into that space where I was going to be, I guess, absorbing anything that was stressful. And not that that's not part of the day, but get yourself into that positive position first. Let your brain pump out positive chemicals rather than negative. Now you're in a better space to succeed because you see things differently, you respond differently. We all do better at anything we do if we're happy. If we're bummed out, just that, if you got two perceptions, you got your happy perception, and your unhappy perception, they're different. You see two different things. And so it's pretty crazy how much control we have over our existence if we understand how to manipulate some of this shit.
When I see people who are negative, it's mostly because I think of negativity as people who can't accept what's happening. So for instance, I'd give you just some stupid example. You go to vacuum your living room and your vacuum doesn't work and you're pissed. And it's like, there's no reason to be pissed. It's a fact. Then you go to the store and you meet a chick and she gives you a blowjob. And then the guy behind the counter says that your vacuum has a warranty and you get a new vacuum cleaner for free. That's even better. And now you were pissed, but you got a blowjob at the vacuum shop and you got a new vacuum cleaner for free. And it's like, you totally fucked up by just like, you're not, I see people do that all the time around me. Anytime something that they perceive as negative or a hiccup in their day, they turn it into a negative narrative. And it just seems like such a waste of, it doesn't seem fun.
Well, check this out, brother.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the stuff I'm sharing with you is stuff that's been in the last few years of my existence. This is, I wish
this is old man shit, old man fitty shit.
If I had known some of the stuff I'm talking about at 30,
it
would have been, I can only imagine. I don't think, I wish I could change something. It would have I would have had I already have had a very fulfilled, journey, but I would have learned to soak up and smell more and feel more along the way. But it's crazy because what you're saying is so true, because here's something that if people would understand this, it's a life changer as well. Life happens for you, not to you. You can realize that the shit that gets dumped in front of you is there for you to get better. So because whatever problem gets dumped in front of you, you realize, okay, when you overcome that obstacle, there's a better version of yourself waiting for you on the other side. Or you can realize you can play poor me and beat the victim drum, and basically life just keeps spiraling in that position where why me versus no, this is another opportunity for me to get better. So that vacuum breaks. Okay, this is a bummer, but you go to the store knowing, okay, something's good going to happen because of this. And in your example, next thing you know, you're getting your dick sucked. Well, good. I guess the vacuum broke because I was going to get a blowjob.
Right.
Granted, weird example, but very true. So just like you said, okay, boom, this happens. The knee-jerk reaction is, God damn it. Erase that. Push pause. Okay, this blows, but there's going to be something good to come from that. I just don't know what it is yet. And when you live in that space where you realize that no matter what happens, it's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Life is a fucking different place. And I'm telling you right now, one of the biggest challenges for me was to get the people out of my life who didn't look at it that way, because you're so affected by the people that you spend time with. And if you have nothing but negativity getting pumped into you from the people you spend time with, it's very, very difficult to retrain these thought processes. That makes sense?
Dude, 100%. I watched Chris Rock's stand up last night.
Yeah.
And at the end, he does a whole bit. It's on Netflix. He does a whole bit on when Will Smith smacked the shit out of him. And I'm like thinking, you would never take that back for $1 million. What a horrible night. And it's the best night of his life at the same time.
Yeah, totally.
I guarantee you, he wouldn't take that back for $1 million.
No, are you kidding me? I mean, it's exactly it. I mean, granted, like here's a perfect example. One of my clients, he reached out and he said, I'm just looking for a little pick me up. He goes, this is the anniversary of one of my children that died shortly after birth 5 years ago. I'm having trouble getting through the day. Do you have anything you can say to help me? And I basically sent him I communicate with my people via like a voice memo. So it's not a text scenario. So they hear my voice and they can talk to me. So it's that type of communication. It's voice to voice. And so I basically explained to him, I said, look, first off, I'm sorry that you're going through that. I can't even imagine how difficult that must have been. However, what you got to remember is that she gave you a gift because she's gone, but because she's gone, she's giving you the opportunity to see just how important, how special your other children are. And if she hadn't passed, you would never see things. You would never see things the way that you do. So you have to thank her on her anniversary and love her and basically explain to her that, of course you wish she was here, but you thank her for giving you the gift of understanding how special the relationships are. This is the kind of thing when you find the positive and the worst negatives, you realize there are some really powerful shit in there. It's just, you got to realize, okay, this really sucks. And it might take a little time to find that silver lining, but I'm going to find it. And when you do, it makes that bad situation so whole and so special and so powerful. And if you are dealing with situations good and bad, but you're finding a way to turn the bad into good and learn from them or progress from them, life is a fucking beautiful place.
There's before we got on the show, I was looking for this one clip I wanted to show you that I never found it, but I stumbled upon another clip. It was there's this guy, Chris Williamson. He has a podcast, and he was talking about how he doesn't have kids, but he's looking forward to having kids, and that it was kind of funny is then he started talking about maybe I have it right here even. Let me see. He started it's a pretty funny piece because he's talking about having kids and he doesn't know any. This is funny on so many levels. But he says this. Okay, here we go. It's this guy right here. Here we go.
Part of the reason I can't wait to have kids is I can't wait to learn and go deep on parenting.
Yeah.
The best that you can read.
He doesn't have kids and he can't wait to go deep on parenting. But then watch this. But then he tells us how to raise kids, which is just kind of funny.
You do with kids is set a good example, be there for them, instill in them the values that you think would be effective. There's not really much else that's left to do.
Yeah.
He says be a good example for your kids, and I think so many people misunderstand what that means. That doesn't mean don't fart, don't swear, don't what it means is how you what John was just saying, how you react to adversity, really big picture shit.
Yep.
Because all that other stuff your kid's gonna fill in, but how your mood, how you react when a rock hits your windshield and cracks it, how you are you getting mad at shit you can't control? Yeah. Do you love life? And that's all you need to teach your kid. It doesn't even fuck all that other nonsense that people are trying to say you teach your kid.
And the thing that I've been totally pushing on my kids is you need to find what you like to do, irregardless if you think you can make money doing it. And that's what we learn to monetize. Yeah. Because if you like, my biggest blessing was as a little fat fucker, I knew what I wanted. I had no idea.
You were a fat kid?
I was. Yeah. Oh yeah. That was one of my biggest fucking blessings. I mean, I had a whopping learning disability. I mean, I was a late fucking bloomer. I mean, it was like for me, I had to work twice as hard just to be average the first chunk of my life, which was hands down my biggest blessing because I learned to put in that work. And next thing you know, that work ethic was instilled, and I was fucking dumb enough to believe. I was just dumb enough not to believe to believe that the people that told me I could not. So I had this brutal work ethic, really good, unwavering, and I knew what I wanted, and I was dumb enough to not listen to the people that told me I was an idiot. So I just kept going. Next thing you know, fucking I'm getting paid to do what I love to do. I mean, everything that I've done in life is somehow leads back to lifting weights. That's a fucking beautiful thing.
John, when I look at the so I used to go to the Arnold and Mr Universe to film arm wrestling competitions. I was a filmmaker, and then so in the in 2005, 2006, I started getting into CrossFit, and that's where I spent the last 15 of my years, my fitness journey. But when I used to go to the Arnold and the Olympia, those people look like freaks to me. Do you know what I mean by that? Like they had pathologies. Like I have a buddy who I'm sure that you know, the Liver King, right? And I knew him before he was the Liver King, and now that he went through the whole steroid scandal, if you want to call it that, and he came out and basically said, "Hey, I have these deep insecurities, these pathologies. I'm an insecure, scared man. That's why I did all of this," and he went down that route. Is that the manifestation of all of like part of, like, I want to be buff and I want to have my shirt off, but I don't think like I want women to just like, I want all the stuff that people say that they don't want people to like. I would love it if some woman loved me for superficial reasons. Like, hey, I fucking think you're an idiot, but I just look at your body and I just want to fuck the shit out of you.
I just want to take your clothes off.
Yeah. Can I just fuck you and you never talk to me? I'll be like, all right, that hurts my feelings a little, but I never got that. I'm torn between this, like, are these men acting out because someone made fun of us because we were little fat boys?
Well, I mean, brother, there's no question. For me, I mean, for most people, I'm sure lifting weights has to do with something. You're like, for me, I can only truly answer for me, but I'll tell you right now, I didn't.
It looks fun being as strong as you. It looks fun having your body, but it also looks like a shitload of work. And like, what's pushing that? What's the piece of sand caught in your?
So my evolution started off because I was that fat little boy. I was the scared little boy. I didn't have self-esteem. And so the weight room is what gave all that to me, right? And as I realized I was pretty good at it, there's a phase where it's very superficial. At very first for me, it was just to kind of fill in those voids, which it did. And I became that person where, I mean, keep in mind, physically, you change faster than you mentally. I mean, even at 51, I can still look in the mirror and see that fucking fat little 15-year-old boy. So you never really get rid of it. Wow. That makes sense. Yeah. But for me, it started off as filling in the voids, right? Then it turned into more of a superficial thing because you're in your, late teens, early 20s, mid 20s, where you're really fucking finding yourself. You know what I mean? You have no clue who you are. And then as you start to get a little older, you start to learn more about yourself. And then for me, I started to realize this is like it's like my Prozac. It became a spiritual thing for me pretty quickly. Like I wrote in my first book, I learned more about myself in a squat rack than I have in any other one place on the planet. Like when I was telling you how I would, and 700 pounds was just one example. I used to do it with every weight. I would do it with 4 plates, 5 plates. You just name it. I would put on a certain amount of weight and say, okay, I'm going to do this until I fail. And for me, it was the journey of going deep inside myself. And so it wasn't just, I wasn't the guy that was just doing it to look a certain way. I was doing it to be the guy that found a new place in my spirit, in my, mental capacity. That's what it turned out to be for me. And then as I got older, and I'm now all of a sudden I became, pro strongman. I was wrestling, pro bodybuilder. Now all this stuff was like a springboard and leverage for me to have a good life. But the reason I keep doing it, the reason I'll never stop is because it's spiritual. It's like my church. Granted, in the beginning, it was filling in voids, then it was extremely superficial. And then the more I did it, the more I started doing it for me, it's very powerful. It's like, for example, my mom did not understand what I was doing. I mean, said, many times, when are you going to be normal again? But then as she saw my progression in my life and started to understand, because she could see my enjoyment in my life. Now she says, I realize now that your training is like your meditation. And it really is, because it's that place where the rest of the world leaves. And that's that time, when meditate, like I do normal meditation now also, but keep in mind, it's actually a fight for it. I do it in this chair. Actually, I sit in this fucking chair at 4:30 in the morning, and it's quiet. And my brain I get my brain in that positive spot. You know how fucking difficult it is to keep thoughts from invading your brain? Well, guess what? When you're under a fucking 500 pounds and you're at rep 22 and you don't know when you're going to finally fall down, your brain is fucking clear. Your brain is quiet. There is no other thoughts in there. And so that's the whole thing, is to answer your question for me. And I can only truly talk for myself. I'm sure there's similarities for other people, but that's the progression. It was filling in voids to very superficial, because, to a certain extent, your life is kind of superficial because you don't really
existence, food, eating, sex. Yeah.
You just don't understand who you are yet. And then as I started to find myself and find my enjoyment in my pathway of my life's work, because my life's work, the foundation of my life's work has been lifting weights and having how I use lifting weights to grow and, spiritually evolve. And now I look for ways. I don't go into my training with, okay, I need to lift a certain amount of weight. I look at, okay, how do I put the series of exercises together to give me that spot that I want to be in so badly? It's like that mental, spiritual place that I get to visit every time I train. As I get older, I have to train less often, which kind of bums me out. But I realize that if I train too often, my body won't allow me to go to that place that I want to go to. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, 100%. The thought of getting underneath, 500 pounds, taking 500 pounds off the back squat and telling yourself you're not allowed to put it down until you fail.
It's fucking amazing.
It's tantamount to like if you were in your office right now and I threw a king cobra in the room and then locked the door. Your brain would come to a complete fucking stop.
Yeah, totally.
You would focus on that cobra and you'd be like, holy fuck, where did that thing land?
You're not worried about anything else on the planet other than how the fuck to get out of the office without getting bit.
Your wife could have just died and that'll go away because you got to get out of that fucking room.
I'm telling you. And then so what happens?
And that's the premise of your deep water programming, right? Swim out to where you think you're going to drown. And then, hey, listen.
When you're surviving, you're not thinking about anything else, baby. Yeah. You're not thinking about anything else. But so the whole idea of swimming out to shore, swimming offshore, or that set of squats, even when you're done, like say that, I took a set to where, I dumped it. Just that was the point. Didn't make it what weight it was. You had that like supreme, like really interesting clarity, like we discussed with the Cobra, right? But then after the set or after you get the Cobra out of your office, you still have it doesn't go away. It slowly goes away, but there's a long period of time where that clarity remains.
Yeah.
And so like when I exercise in the morning, it's not about cardio. It's not about exercise. It's about creating clarity in my mind. I do like a 3-minute blitz, which is just to fucking get myself huffing and puffing where I can't feel like I can't continue that pace to the point where, okay, I got to stop. And as soon as I catch my breath, it's like a whole different you is there. And again, what I'm explaining is that training for me now is really more of it's more of a quality of life. It's spiritual growth. It's such a different dimension than it once was when I was just going to the gym to, what was remember the pants we used to wear that were the stripe tights and shit, you know.
MC like the MC
the,
Hammer
the,
shit.
The hot skins. Remember the hot skins that were tights, you know?
I don't remember that. I don't, but
No,
but I think I can see it.
But I mean, now it's like I prefer to train by myself, not in a gym, because anything that's anybody else in my space when I'm training is taking away from my meditation, if you will. It'd be like trying. Yeah, there you go. That's the newer version of hot skins. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, see, the old ones were just those red lines top to bottom. It was just, there was no other shit.
I do remember those. Listen, the most I ever weighed in my life was 180. I walk around at 160. That's like what you curl. Like, so I was not allowed to wear pants like that.
But you know, the thing about it is we're really talking about is learning a skill set here. And I use lifted weights to develop my skill set. And then I take that skill set and I applied it to everything else I've done. You know, I created and sold my first business as an entrepreneur in my mid-20s.
What business was it, John?
So it's basically, I started a painting business. So I had a few other businesses I started right out of college, but they all failed. And I was like, okay, I need to get on the board here. You know, I need to have a win. Even if it's not a win that I think is the most fun, I need a win. So I started a painting company because I used to paint houses in college. And I would just go knock on doors. Say, I'll paint your house for $1,500. Well, in those days, I could hire a buddy to work for $10 an hour. He was happy as hell. Cost me a few $100 in paint. I'd make $1,000 in a week. You know, as a college kid, this is like 1992. I could make,
that's good money.
Like $4,000 a month as a college kid. Yeah. So I was like, okay, I'm graduated. I'm got a major in theology, minor in philosophy. Unless I'm going to go be a priest, my education doesn't really help me. I guess I'm going to, you know, I started these other little businesses that failed. So I was like, I'm going to go back to what I know.
Were you looking for God, by the way? Is that why you chose those majors? Were you looking for God? No, okay.
No, I basically chose those majors because I went to college to lift weights. My mom, you know, basically I told her, I said, I want to go for 5 years. I mean, keep in mind, I showed up to college at like a fucking probably an 8th grade reading level. That's a whole nother story. But either way, I went to college and just started going to college. And then in those days you had a counselor. It was a small private school. So you actually would call you. This is before email. Call me. Hey, we have to declare a major, you know? And I'm like, well, what am I closest to? He goes, I'll call you back tomorrow. So he calls me back, said, hey, well, you're closest to theology. And if we do this right and you can pass logic, you're going to get a minor in philosophy also. I said, well, there's the plan. Let's go.
Wow.
So that's how it went. But yeah, so anyway, I basically said, okay, I was making money as a college kid. Now I'm going to start a business and do it. So first year, completely illegal. No license, no insurance, you know, got it off the ground, basically built it up, 20 employees, sold it year 5 for $500,000. And this would have been in, Jesus Christ, this would have been in early 2000s, which is a pretty good grip, you know, especially for a kid,
dude,
so to speak.
That's fucking amazing. That's for a business you started in college. 5 years later, you sold for $500,000. And what did they get for the money? They get your client list. They get in your employees.
It wasn't even a business that rolled over from college. It was just I used to make money in college. There was probably a 2-year gap of me failing in other businesses before I started the painting company.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So, but no, so when you sell a business, it's kind of weird. I learned a lot through that process. And again, this is the whole thing, doing something new. When you do something new, you learn. It's unbelievable. Well, to sell a business, there's a multiplier based upon the strength of the market. When I was selling my business, the multiplier was, I can't remember, I think it was 1.5, but it could be as high as 2.5. So the time that I sold it, I actually was kind of in the bottom part of the market. If I had sold it, 6 or 9 months before, or who knows later, I would have got even more money for it. But it was part of my progression. I was ready to turn pro in Strongman. So I knew that it was just part of what I needed to do. What they do is you got to sell a business, you have to create a business that operates itself. So I wasn't working in the business. That makes sense? I was just the owner of the business. And you can say, okay, look, I'm going to take this functioning entity and I'm going to sell it and give it to you, and it'll continue to run itself as long as you watch over the bank accounts, that type of thing. You know what I mean? So they look at what the total revenue is, and then there's a multiplier they run it through, and that tells you how much the sale of the business is going to be for. But keep in mind, if I had been working in my business, like if I was estimating or if I was doing something, then it was not really a sellable business. That makes sense?
No, explain that to me again. That last part. If what?
Okay, so if let's just say that I was working in the business, let's say I was estimating or I was running crews.
Right.
Well, now to sell the business, I'd have to be selling me too, because
right. Okay.
But if you want to sell a business and walk away, it has to be operating without you having a daily responsibility.
I'm not selling this podcast because it has to come with me.
There we go.
And I guess a lot of companies do that, right? Like then if you sell the company, they'll be like, hey, you got to stay on as CEO for 2 years.
Yeah, and what that's happening is that's transitioning you out and somebody else in.
Right.
That makes sense.
Right.
And for me, I was just ready to cut loose of the thing and go start my true life's work, which was, I turned pro in strongman. It was like, it was time to go. I was getting, I was going to Europe. I mean, I was competing. It was like my dream was starting to unfold right in front of me. It was time to get rid of the shit that I did. The painting company basically gave me the ability to continue to chase my dream. I made money. I had the time to train. Probably one of the bigger problems with that was all of a sudden I've got money and I got time. I almost got distracted fucking off with going to bars and shit because, first time a young kid's got a bunch of money, a bunch of time, it's easy to get looking at the wrong things,
Andrew, that's the problem with most CrossFit gyms. The owner is the business. And so then they can't sell the gym, I guess is what he's saying. Cause they're, you just pointed something out to me. There was a point in my life where I got rid of everything I own and I wanted to walk the earth as an ascetic, just like Jesus or the Buddha. And when I was in that phase for like 5 years. And when I was doing that, I was the only person I know who didn't do drugs. There was one other guy in 5 years who wasn't a drug addict. And you made me, and part of the cool thing about being homeless is you see that you can literally sit still and watch that the universe is conspiring to help you. But what most people did because they couldn't handle the intensity of being homeless and being completely unaware of what was going to happen next because you didn't have shelter, they get into drugs. I was just thinking of that, what an enormously missed opportunity to be homeless, but not live life like a religious man. And there's this guy I know, John, his name is he was Fitness Lonnie, then he was Dorian, and now he has some Buddhist name, and he's been a monastic monk now for I want to say he's approaching 10 years. And he's never allowed, as a monastic monk, you're not allowed to eat unless someone gives you food. So this motherfucker will go in Alabama, dude. He'll be in Alabama, like visiting family. He's got to wake up at 4 a.m, put on his Buddhist robe and walk around doing what I think they call it alms. Wow. And he says people like me and you, curious motherfuckers like us, will walk up to him and be like, hey, what's up? What you doing? And he'll be like, I'm doing my alms. And be like, oh, can I buy you some food? And he says it happens. And he gets to witness the universe work to conspire to help him because he can sit through that kind of that intensity, that uncertainty that maybe you get from putting 500 pounds on your back, or you get from swimming 2 miles out into the middle of the ocean. It's fabricated, but I don't mean that in a negative way.
No, I see where you're coming from. It's his version of basically quieting down all the noise,
flirting by flirting with failure and going into the unknown, into the abyss.
Absolutely. 100%. I love it. And that's the thing, is that everybody has their own formula to do this. Just because we're talking about what I've done doesn't mean that's somebody else's path. That was my path. And it was a motherfucker for me to figure out my own path. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I think the biggest thing that for people to understand is just move forward. You're gonna learn from moving forward. You're not gonna learn from sitting still trying to fucking figure shit out. It's the moving forward that's going to give you feedback of what you like, what you don't like, what works, what doesn't work, and that data that you're collecting by continually stepping forward. That's what you need to find, your path, your fulfillment, your enjoyment in life. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Hey, before you say, I got to take a piss. Forgive me.
Yeah, please.
I drink like a liter of water right when I wake up. I drink 1.5 liters when I'm training. So I'm, 2.5 liters deep.
Yep.
But hold on 1 second.
I love it when the guest has to pee before me. That's hey dude, that's at least 10 guests.
That's a win. That's a win for you there, huh?
Yeah. Souza, that's if we've had, let's say 800 shows, 500 guests, I'm at least 10 guests. I've out laddered them.
Awesome. We'll mute him so we don't hear him pee there.
What's up with your voice? No, we should hear him. Oh, what's up with your voice?
Oh, I don't know. Probably just tired.
It sounds scratchy, like you were out singing last night.
No.
This guy 100% pisses like a racehorse. Oh, come on. Hey, someone wrote in the comments in YouTube yesterday, soon as you started talking about women, I unsubscribed.
Triggered.
How? There's no one who's nicer. There's no one who's nicer to women than me. I'm completely happy with the woman being the president of Harvard, but I'm completely respect and think the most noble thing a woman can do is have kids and raise kids. Like, how the fuck am I ever disrespectful to women?
Hey, it's not your fault.
Mind-boggling. Do you hate
notes here? We got 18. Let's say everybody's awake for 18 hours a day. Out of those 18 hours a day, there's on average 64,800 seconds in that day, and on average, there's per day 60 to 70,000 thoughts that go through your head, which averages out to about 1.08 thoughts or 0.92. Just round it to 1 thought per second of the day. And those individuals that react that way are clearly just consuming negative input all the time, whether it be what they're watching, whether it be what they're eating, or whether it be what they're hearing. So then all they're doing is they're just waiting to react. So they're all those thoughts are brewing. Then they have a trigger point. Now it reacts. So they don't actually have any control over what's happened. It's pre-programmed thoughts of negativity that is just waiting to project or reach out. Yeah, I got that. Dude, I was writing that down when you guys were talking, John.
Does say, brother, you said, so what you just explained is so fucking crystal clear. I love it when I hear somebody say it back, because a lot of times when I'm talking about it, it's almost hard to, I feel like I'm not articulating it very well because I get excited, because I'm like, this is something that has changed me so much in terms of just keeping a good position mentally. And then anyway, good shit, man. But yeah, I totally agree with you. It's like people sometimes they're so cocked and ready to react to something negative because all they're doing, it's like, think of it like this. You can only give what you have. And if you've only got negativity, you're only going to give negativity. Think about it. It's like, if I can't give you the oranges that I don't have.
Right.
So when you're filled with love and you're filled with optimism, you're going to give a lot of that shit off. When you're filled with negativity and hate, guess what's coming out of you?
That's right. You know? Yeah. They call it the black box in CrossFit, which is like all we're doing is focusing on the inputs and then seeing what the output is. So if all my inputs are just constantly negative, you already know by default that all the output that's going to come out is also going to be negative. Yeah. Consumption's more than diet.
Andrew Hiller, I'm a big fan of John's traps and hat. You too can have those traps, Mr. Hiller. And that so that's what the professionally offended are. They're just like demanding, like I say something nice about positive and upbeat about women, and someone thinks I'm saying something negative. They're just looking.
It's all they could find. It's all they seek. What you seek, you will find.
Like I'm like, wow, breastfeeding's a beautiful thing, and like 5 people write in the comments, "You fucking asshole! Some women can't breastfeed." Whoa, easy.
You know, here's the thing: somebody, no matter what a person says, there's going to be positive, negative reaction, and it all feeds back to exactly what we're talking about. The people that are primed to look for negativity, they're going to find negativity in what you say. The people that are primed to look for positivity, they're going to find positivity in what you say. So it's really has nothing to do with you, unless you were trying to be negative. That of course you're going to get attacked for that. But if you make a perfectly neutral statement, you're going to have people from both sides because they're basically giving what they've got.
Mm-hmm. Or like I don't even know if I think in terms of those terms, John. Like if you and I walked into a room and there were 10 women and 9 of the women chose to mate with you because of your body, and they're like, I want my kids to be strong and turn out like that, and then there's one Jew chick in there who's like, he has a giant nose and he looks like he has a tremendous earning potential, I'm gonna go with the 5'5" Armenian guy. Like I'm not offended at all. Like I get it. If I'm a woman, I don't want a 5 foot guy who's fat. Not that I'm fat, but I want, there's not like, just accept kind of the truth. Like I would love to mate with the woman who's 6 feet tall and 25 years old with the hair as thick as fucking ropes. Like it has not, like, don't be fucking offended. Like just, it's okay. We're all working with what the best we have. A vaginal birth is much better than C-section 100% of the time. Are you fucking asshole? Some of us can't blah, blah, blah. Dude, easy.
Yeah.
Just easy. I ain't hating.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly, I mean, well, here's the thing. I mean, when it comes right down to it, is that no matter what you say, there's going to be negativity. So the way I look at it is I just don't address it.
Yeah.
You know, like I
made a living addressing it.
So many of like fans and such will come into my DMs and different social media and say, God, why don't you defend yourself? I said, I don't address that. I don't accept or address negativity. And it's because life is too short to even feel like my wife, she can't look at the stuff that people say, but I'm like, honey, it's okay. It's just the way it is, no matter
what. Would someone be negative to you about like saying that your training technique is not the fastest way to get big and you're stuck in the fucking 1980s?
Oh, dude. I mean, it's keep in mind, it's crazy. It's social media now. It's not just me. I shouldn't say anybody who has done something that's outside of the norm seems
you put your ass on the line. Someone attacks.
Yeah. I mean, forgive me, I hate to make blanket statements, but you'll find, just about everybody has negativity, some sort of hate in their social media. And it's because, it seems that now they'll spend a little time on social media before they go to bed, throwing turds at people because they think it makes them feel better about themselves. The fact that they didn't go to the gym or they didn't do what they were supposed to do or whatever it is that they're struggling with internally. Well, they're just going to say, oh, well, this guy XYZ, and it somehow makes them feel better. When in actuality, all it does is put them deeper in whatever they're feeling. They just don't know it.
Right.
But
I
sometimes
regret 99% of the things I write on the internet. Like anytime I respond to someone, like later on, I'm like, I wish I wouldn't have said that to that person.
But here's the thing, brother. Flip it around. People sometimes, like if someone makes a comment that it's just, they put a lot of effort into it. Like one of these fucking comments, like that you have to scroll to see it. And I'm like, oh my God, if this guy wrote all this poorly, I'll respond. I won't do it publicly. I'll do it in like, well, every once in a while I will, but I'll say, hey, brother, are you okay? Do you having a bad day? Do you need a hug? Because I mean, number one, it's kind of like, holy smokes, why did you take 45 minutes of your day to write that whole thing about negative shit? And number two, if taking shots at me makes you feel better, I'll be your punching bag. I'm okay either way. Right. And sometimes I'll say that. I'll say, hey, if taking shots at me makes you feel better, I'm your punching bag, brother. Go ahead. And
you're a good dude.
And they just don't. The thing is, they don't know how to respond to that.
Yeah,
because they're waiting for me to fire back, like, oh, blah blah. No, I won't step my own character down to do that. I'll go up by saying, are you okay? And maybe have a little fun with it. Do you need a hug? but the bottom line is I'm never going to throw a turd. Somebody throws a turd at me, I'm not going to throw a turd back. I'm no better than they are.
Can you imagine like you drive by John, like, you fucking asshole, you took my parking spot. And John looks out, he's got a tank top on, he puts his fucking giant arm out the window. He's like, it's cool, brother, I'm sorry, love you. You're like, oh fuck, I just dodged a bullet.
No, and the thing about it is I told my kids, I say, look, you have to realize that you cannot be affected by if you're affected by what somebody says to you, you're giving that person control.
Yeah.
I said, so if we're walking down, let's just say the three of us are walking down the street. Someone walks up to me and says, you're a fucking cocksucker. I say, well, you might be right. Have a wonderful day.
Right.
Because it's not, there's no way that's going to penetrate me. And how I get rid of it, I basically agree or partially agree, because now there's nothing else to say.
Right.
It's done. It's gone.
Right.
And that's what I want, when like talk about going back to the gentleman that was talking about how to raise kids, it's how to basically not react, I think was one of the things you said. And when you can
that's a huge premise of parenting. Do not react. Do not let your kids see you react. Yes.
Yeah. And that's something that I grew up with. I grew up with a real, there was nobody ever raised their voices in the house I grew up in, ever. I mean, I don't ever remember somebody yelling as a child, ever. And, in my house,
Do you know how to fight with your wife? Don't you think some fighting's important though?
It's crazy because here's the thing. It's going back in my life. There was a period where, and I didn't connect these fucking dots until later, but you get in a fight, right? And then you have this wicked makeup sex, right? Well, then what happens is you start to create the problem looking for the reward.
Oh, wow.
And I was motherfucker, I can have that fucking killer fucking evening without all the turmoil up front. Right. But as people, that's the thing. We end up doing these things, and a lot of times we don't even know we're doing it. It's not until we step back and start to realize, okay, let's look at the things that are good and the things that are bad, and let's try to understand how we can learn from the things that are bad to promote more good. Until you actually start to ask yourself questions and truly understand why you're doing what you're doing, it's like people will just continue to follow this pattern and not having a clue what's going on.
So cut out the middleman, don't fight, and just have the sex.
Well, the thing about it is what I realize is that, having a disagreement or having a fight, I don't need to be right. I need to be happy. So I'll be wrong to be happy any day of the week. And if I ever find myself lobbying or positioning myself to be right, I pretty much am guaranteeing myself that I'm creating discomfort in my space, and I'm doing it to myself, because it's not about who's right or who's wrong. It's about creating that, that serenity. It's about creating that fulfilled space. It's about enjoying the people that you love, that you allow in your space, not proving to them you're fucking right.
Mm. When you were saying this, I was seeing this imagery. We have this big theme on the show that you should lean into attack. So if someone yells at you, you meathead motherfucker, you're like, that's right. Or someone yells at me, you short motherfucker, I'm like, you don't even know. I used to be 5'5", now I'm 5'4". And when you were describing this, don't be offended, I pictured these two cells turning into one. Like when someone's being aggressive to you, just stand closer to them and become one with them. Just kind of it's okay.
It's so easy to nullify this shit.
Yeah.
It's so easy
just become
to
one with you. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, when someone throws a turd at you and you don't throw a turd back, it's over.
Yeah.
It's over. And the best part is you feel good. It doesn't make a difference how bad someone offends you. When you act offensive back, when I was younger, when I would, act in a way that I wasn't proud of, I would go back and I would apologize to the person, and they would say, "Oh, you don't have to apologize." And I'll be honest, I'm not doing this for you.
Mm. Right.
I'm doing it for me, because I'm sorry. I'm sorry I did this. And I'm not afraid to say it to you, but I'm also saying, because this is what I need to do for me to be whole, for me to move forward from this, because I acted inappropriately, or I said some things that I shouldn't have said, or whatever it was, and you feel better about yourself when you know you did the right thing, when you know you acted accordingly. We all make mistakes, and taking accountability for them. I mean, my little girls, I've actually, the youngest one is 18 now. God damn. But I've pulled them aside, the two younger ones, and pulled them aside and said, look, I'm going to tell you a couple of stories about how I wasn't very nice to your mom on a few of these occasions. And I'm telling you this because I want you to hear it from me that I recognize it wasn't right. And I'm sorry that I did it. And I'm doing it because I need you to understand that I'm sorry for what I did. And you feel better when you address the things that you've done wrong and you admit you've done wrong and you try to do better.
Right. It's sort of like that Catholic confession shit too.
I guess it just depends if it's truly done because you're supposed to do it, or is it done because that's what they tell you to do? Mm-hmm. That's the line in the sand, you know.
I hear we were talking about this the other day on the show. Like if my wife cheated on me, God forbid, a huge part of me would want her to tell me so that she could free herself of the guilt. Because like people are like, fuck that bitch, I dump her. Well, that's a whole different subject. I don't know if I would or if I wouldn't, but I don't want to live with someone who has to keep a secret from me. I don't want anyone. I feel sorry for people who have to keep secrets. Lies suck.
Yeah.
That truth will set you free. Shit is, and I think that it's a cousin to that apology and honesty and transparency. It's like,
yeah, for sure. You know, and when you're younger, like when I was younger, I didn't value how powerful honesty was.
Yeah,
and
me neither.
Along with that, usually that means you're not honest with yourself either.
Right.
Because when you're honest, you tend to be honest. And if you're dishonest, you're dishonest. And that went along with, you know, when you're not quite being honest to those around you, you're usually not quite being honest with yourself. And that honesty is what really helps you grow.
It's like I'll tie it back to that women thing. I'll say nice things about women and people will take offense like it was rude because they're not being honest with themselves. And the fact is that they truly hate women. They hate the woman's form. They hate a woman. And so they project that onto me. I give you an example. I could wear a shirt that says, I love vaginas, and someone would be offended. And it would be like, and why is that? Do you think that there's something offensive about the vagina and its 1,000 folds of skin? Like what? I'm sorry. And they'll project that onto you. I see that word in this new generation of misogyny being thrown around all the time, and it's completely misused. I see it. Someone is exalting a woman or uplifting a woman, appreciating a woman, and they see it as hatred. Well, the reason why is somehow they've been taught that there's something offensive about the woman, and it's like, it's like.
And that goes back to what we're talking about. People, they don't really even understand why they believe what they believe. They've been programmed a certain way. You know, kind of like we talked about with failure. Most people don't even know why they veer away from it. Most people aren't even honest with themselves enough to realize that they do choose to avoid it. You know, I mean, and it's like that was where I was. You know, where there was a certain point when my early, you know, that more surface existence where I hadn't found myself, where I just admitting failure was very difficult for me. It made me feel very insecure. It kind of went back to that fat little boy that didn't have self-esteem, that had a hard time. It wasn't until you started to, you know, really, really be honest and open with yourself how powerful that shit is. And when you start to realize, God, why do I believe this? Most people don't even know why they believe what they believe. It's just
right.
They've just learned it through watching other people in our society. So they're reacting to you and your t-shirt about vaginas or whatever it is.
Yeah.
They don't even know why they're doing it. It's just they've been bred to believe that they should react to a statement like that.
I've been in the last 10 years addicted, maybe even more in the 3 years, to get to I guess the term would be red pilling myself, but like waking up to all the things that I believed without understanding them, without looking into them. Like, oh shit. Oh my, really? I thought that. Let me read this real quick. Extra sloppy for John. People tend to interact more with content they disagree with, but too often people take things way too personally. Kudos to John for having such broad shoulders, literally and figuratively.
Right on, brother. Hey, what is the little $9.99 right there? What is that?
I just made $10. Don't worry about that, John. Don't worry about that. I just made $10 off your shoulder. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that.
I love it. No, and that's I'm glad that, because realistically we sit here and we talk this way. We hope that it's helping people see a different dimension. But and true to what we're saying, a lot of people are going, oh, these fucking dipshits don't have a fucking clue. They need to do this. They need to do that. Well, we do need to do a lot of it. And we're in the journey of doing things that we need to do, and we're learning in the process. But the difference is that we're not taking our time to talk smack about you. You know what I mean?
I saw I don't know if you before this president, we had an orange-haired president named Donald Trump, and he referred to El Salvador as a shithole country, and people called him racist for that. And I'm looking now, I don't know if you've seen, but there's a lot of viral videos talking about what's going on in El Salvador. El Salvador for the last 5 years has been the murder capital of planet Earth. They have more murders there per capita than anywhere else on planet Earth. And their president has basically arrested 2% of their population, John, in the last 300 days. They're building these massive prisons, and they haven't had a murder in 300 days. In El Salvador.
Clearly he's changing something.
And dude, and these videos are crazy. When you see one pop across your feed, it's thousands of bald-headed fucking dudes with fucking huge tattoos on their fucking back that say MS-13 and G13 and fuck me 13 all over them. And it's all men. It's weird. How come there's no women in these prisons? Equal right, equal fight. But anyway, and I'm thinking to myself, at what point do you just go, okay, maybe he was right. Maybe that country was a shithole. Yeah, these are the pictures coming out of fucking El Salvador. Have you seen these? It's fucking nuts, dude. And it's thousands of dudes.
What were we looking at there? What are they doing? What?
They're loading them up into prisons. They're just going on the streets and collecting fucking all the gang members. And the president has a 90% approval rating. And so I see these people. Shit. Yeah. And hey, dude, John, if they move, they shoot them.
You're fucking kidding me.
No, and it's crazy.
I didn't even know. I didn't understand what I was looking at first. I was like, what am I seeing here?
It's like some Hollywood movie. But I'm tripping that I'm not defending the orange-haired guy at all. I don't want to. It's just a thought experiment. Like, it's the murder capital of planet Earth. You can't cut this guy any leeway for calling that country a shithole. Maybe it's offensive. Maybe it's too strong. Maybe it's not. It's a lot of things. But it's not racist.
Well, but brother, right now, I don't know that there's ever been a worse time in our existence to talk about politics. You know, when people say you want to talk about politics, I'll say you can, but I won't.
Fair.
Because no matter what, no matter which name you say on either side, someone is going to fucking throw a turd at you.
Yep. Right. There's no winning that argument.
That's it. That's probably one of the few guarantees we have in our current society.
And is that a reason not to talk about it, though? How do we talk about it?
Well, I mean, really what it comes down to is, you know, people talk about it all the time. They just have to realize, okay, you're going to get more flack than other topics. But if you're entering into a political conversation, you have to be smart enough to know that you're going to be getting some resistance no matter what side you're supporting.
Right.
So it's kind of like, hey, if it's fucking pouring rain outside and we go outside and we get wet, are we going to have a good fucking cry, or do we know we're going to get wet? Well, you talk politics, you know you're going to take some heat. So don't fucking have a problem with it, you know?
Yeah, I think the way we package that conversation has a lot to do with it too, because if a lot of people start on the fringe. So these guys are idiots. I'm right. You're wrong. How could you think that way? And I don't believe that. I actually think 99% of us are really close, tight in the middle, but we all start the argument from out here. So it just depends on how you package it. And then you said something really good, John, earlier when you were like talking about the argument. You were saying, I'm just focused on my happiness. So you're actually not focused on winning the argument. You're focused on an outcome that you want, that you've already predetermined before you've entered the conversation. And so if you do have conversations around topics that are going to be triggering for some air quotes there, then it really depends on what your outcome for this conversation. So if my outcome is to convince you guys of my opinion, I have to start with some sort of common ground we all agree, and then slowly work my way out to move that needle just a tiny bit. If I start from way out here and come here, then my outcome is clearly isn't trying to change your mind. It was trying to prove that I'm right and you guys are wrong.
Yeah. And you know, I'll tell you, brother, on that level, when I finally learned, it's like I repeat that to myself, you know, to keep myself in check. I don't need to be right. I need to be happy. And it's when Because, you know, most of us, well, I shouldn't say most of us, I know I did, and a lot of people that I knew, a lot of people that I actually had to create distance with, their existence was to prove they were right. And sometimes it wasn't, you know, it was like, okay, but why are we spending so much time? Why do we keep going back to this? Does being right that important? If being right is that important, then I need to create some separation here, because when it comes down to it, being whole, being happy, you know, being filled with joy, these are the things that are important. And if being right is going to provide that, great. But 9 times out of 10, when people are having some sort of a pissing match to be right, there's no enjoyment on either side of the equation.
Yeah. win an argument and gain an enemy.
Yes. Yeah. And it's like, I'll be wrong all day long to be happy. You know, wrong and happy are fine with me.
What's this mean? Tribal leadership, Michael C.
Maybe is that a book reference?
Let's see. I want to go. I want to go back to this thing about working out. One of the things that Brian Johnson, the Liver King, said is that he worked out for mental health issues. That he has severe mental health issues, right?
Totally.
And we talked about that. And then he says he was working out twice a day. And then he said he started taking human growth hormone and performance enhancing drugs, so that because then he started, as he got older, he felt like he could only work out once. Oh, okay, I'll check it out. Warren Bennett, is this a good book you're saying, Michael C? All right, Tribal Leadership. Put it on there. Then he's saying that he could only work out once a day because he was getting older, and he was a CrossFitter, so he was putting his, we put our dick in the dirt. And so then he started doing human growth hormone and performance enhancing drugs so that he could work out twice a day. And instead of that helping his situation, it exacerbated it, because then he started working out 3 times a day, right? Because he's like, fuck, I feel great. And at some point, it's like you said, you don't put 700 pounds on the bar anymore. You've reeled it in, and maybe you're not working that out as much for therapy. What do you pivot to then for your therapy, for your mental sustainability as we get older and we can't do? Because I do that too. I go in the garage and sweat twice a day too. And sometimes I'm like, fuck, this is getting a little obsessive. It's 11 o'clock at night and I'm out there on the fucking assault bike.
I've been, one of the things it's been in my, I don't know, from the time I was young. I grew up on the water. As a kid, we grew up on the Willamette River up in Oregon. Every house I've ever owned well, I shouldn't say there was, actually, this is true. Every house I've ever owned has been on the water. To obviously, like this house I'm here, I've got a pool, and then just beyond the pool, there's a lake. My house up in the Bay Area, same thing, on the bay. So my house in Mexico is on the Sea of Cortez. So,
oh my God, you're on the Sea of Cortez?
Yeah, it's beautiful down there.
Oh my God, it's so nice.
Yeah, this is my current house right here. That's the pool just outside the door. If I went out to the door to my left, I'd be right there.
Wow, what a good life you're having. So
swimming is like one of the best. Like for me, I sink like a fucking rock. So for me to swim and not have a place to put my feet on the ground, I'm fucking working. And so here's the thing: when it comes down to when your training is more for your mental health, your spiritual health, it really has more to do with pushing yourself into that space where everything else gets quiet. And if you really wanted to break it down, you put yourself in a little bit of a survival setting, and everything else in everything that's around you fades away. All the noise goes away. So how does a person do that? It's clearly, it's very simple and it's clear. It's up to them. What do they enjoy? And when you can find a level of enjoyment where you look forward to this daily, event, call it, it's a fucking pretty, like for me, my wife has a gauntlet, it's a revolving staircase,
Yeah.
You turn that motherfucker on 10, you'll be hard pressed to stay on there for 3 minutes.
Hey, do you use that thing?
Yeah. I get on, like I said, you put that thing on level 10 and try to go for 3 minutes to where you literally your lungs start expanding to the point where you can't, your legs don't keep up and you're done.
It's basically a Stairmaster, but it's a Stairmaster, like the old school ones.
The stairs rotate.
Yeah, I've always wanted one of those. On a side note, the fittest man in the world, Matt Fraser, that was like one of his secrets. Like he said, dude, this is one of the most underrated tools ever.
Oh, dude, I'm telling you right now, you put in, like when we're in hotels and such, I'll always go into the stairwell and I'll walk. You walk up, just go into a fucking stairwell and walk up 20 flights of fucking steps.
Yeah.
Oh my Lord, that fucks you up, but in a very, very good way.
Yeah.
You know, we're actually getting ready to buy a place over in Vegas, and we're going to go into a high-rise setting because it's just not having to deal with things. But there's no lawn to deal with. There's it's everything's taken care of for you. But the thing I love about it is literally the way these things are set up. There's a stairwell, because if the elevators break, by law they have to have a stairwell. So literally, I can wake up in the morning, and when I'm in hotels, that's one thing I really look forward to. Is I have stairwells where I can go up 20 flights of steps, take the fucking elevator to the bottom and start climbing steps. You clear out the noise in your life real quickly.
Yeah.
And so when we have our place in Vegas, I'll be able to do it there too, which is great, because going on the machine that you just put up on the screen, it does the same thing, but it's a little different. It's not the same experience when you're sitting in one place holding on to handles versus actually negotiating balance and turns and everything else. It's the natural going up steps and stairwell to me becomes a little bit more fulfilling. It sounds weird to say that, but it's the truth.
So more treading water as you get older and less pounding yourself.
Well, and then what I do too is I train less. I still will train 4 or 5 days a week, but I can't train. When I was younger, I used to do 20, 25 sets of different exercises. Now I got to thin that way down. It's crazy how it's the thing. This is beautiful. So when you're starting off trying to be wealthy, you fucking work your ass off. And then you get to a certain point where it just becomes so much easier. You learn how to do it. You do it smarter, not harder. And your earning potential just keeps getting better and better, even though you don't feel like you're busting your ass as hard. Training is the same way. I mean, people say, "Oh, look, man, you must spend like 3 hours. You must spend like 3 hours a day in the gym." No, dude, I fucking spend like 3 hours a week in the gym.
Is that true?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Look at that. You guys would be so fucking blown away to find out how little I have to do to look this way, because it's like there's a balance. As you get older, you train too much, you tear yourself down. That makes sense. When I was younger, it took all that. It's just like, getting well off financially. You got to fucking burn that minute of oil. There's no breaks. You got to do what you got to do to get there. And so, oh shit, hold on a second. I got to turn my brightness down. I'm running out of battery here.
Hey, has it been raining a lot at your house, by the way? It's been raining a month. I'm in Santa Cruz, California. It's been raining here a month.
Yeah, it's we're on the desert, so it doesn't rain too much,
Okay.
But what I was saying was
money.
It's crazy how, when you get better, when you get deeper down the path of being well off, you have to do less. It's the same thing with training, because you learn exactly what the success formula is, and you don't do too much.
And around your physique, I've seen on your site, basically diet. You're a master of the diet.
The diet.
If
the diet wasn't on check, what I'm saying wouldn't make wouldn't make a difference. I know how to eat in a certain way, so I can train that 3 hours a week and look the way that I do. Do
you drink alcohol, John?
Very rarely. Because here's the thing. I'm fucking high on life. You put alcohol in me, I'm losing my high tomorrow.
Like less than once a month? You drink less than once a month?
Yeah, I drink a couple times a year.
Amazing, yeah. It seems to be a common theme with successful people.
Yeah, because it's, again, if you're high every day, per se, high on life, right? And then you drink you're not high tomorrow because you're fucking hungover, because you poisoned yourself. So, okay, I'm gonna have 3-4 hours of feeling a little loose so I can fuck up the whole next day.
Yeah.
No fucking way. It's not a trade I'm gonna make.
Right.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
And any do you have any sugar? Do you consume sugar? Like any refined sugar?
No. I avoid sugar at all costs. Hey, if you don't mind, let me grab my charger because I kept my brightness up too much. We're having a good conversation. I don't want to feel like we're hold on.
Please. Yeah. Michael C. 5 levels person can be at. Life sucks. My life sucks. I am great, and you're not. My life is great. Life is great. Okay, yeah. I remember that. That was a while back.
Have you ever heard a book called Power versus Force? By Dr. David Hawkins.
Have you shown it to me before?
I don't think so.
I'll write it down. Should I read it?
Yeah, that's one that you should listen to. It's just about levels of consciousness and like enlightenment, and how the further you go up this chart that he has, the more kind of enlightened you are. Or, I don't know. You should listen to it. I'm going to butcher it, oversimplified, but I'm going to re-listen to it. I listened to it like probably about 4 years ago, and it's a lot of it's always stuck with me. So it's time to redo it. Just reminded me of a lot of stuff that we were talking about here is in that book.
John, can you hear us?
I can.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, because I got you in my ears, so I can hear. Not a problem. It's just you can't hear me because I walk away from my microphone.
Is your primary vocation programming for other people?
And so you're talking about income?
Yeah.
I mean, that's definitely it's a piece of it for sure. I mean, when it comes down to it, I'm not trying to sound like a pompous ass, but I don't really have
can. We're hour and 41 minutes in, and you haven't yet. So go ahead and dip a little pompous ass in us. You have to be multifaceted.
Sprinkle it in now.
Yeah, sprinkle in some pompous ass.
I don't have to do anything in terms of I'm pretty well set. You know, I mean, I own my houses, you know, I don't owe anything. You know, I could.
How did you do that? How did you get set? How did you become so successful? I mean, besides hard work and dedication and not drinking.
So if you really, to answer that question in a way that would, I guess that would be helpful to the audience, I'll answer it this way, is that there's a lot of shit that I did, but if you boil it down, it's a skill set, and the skill set that got me where I am will apply to anything. And that's basically it's the habits that you have. It's the habits you don't have. It's the willingness to say no. Like people say, oh, I'm going to do X, Y, Z, and I'm going to do blah, 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 blah. No, don't do all that. Don't worry about all that. How about just stop doing these 2 things that fuck you up really bad?
Can you give me an example? Like what? What would the 2 things?
Let's just say that someone's like, I'm gonna, you know, let's just use working out, right? I'm gonna work out twice a day. You know, I'm gonna really I'm gonna do that. I'm all fired up. Well, how about stop eating fucking Twinkies at 10:30 at night first? Because stop eating Twinkies at 10:30 at night, just removing that behavior pattern will propel you forward without investing all that extra time and energy. So it's developing a personal skill set. My routines is everything. Without my routines, I would not have what I have, period. End of story. I've had the joke I make is it's like, I'm kind of like Rain Man. You know, you get me out of my routine and I start, who's on first? Because because it's like.
That was some Abbott and Costello reference. That was very nice. I appreciate that.
Yeah, because I'm telling you, it's like let me turn my brightness back up so I can see you. There we go. Because the skill set of becoming and I hate to use this term, but it's kind of the truth, a high performance person. And I'm not talking high performance lifting heavy shit. I'm not talking high performance in how you perform physically. I'm talking high performance in how you navigate life. You know, like I've always got up early. And when I say always, keep in mind, there's situations I should say I've gotten up early the majority of my life, because like when I was wrestling, when we didn't finish, we didn't get back to the hotel till 1 a.m. after a show. I wasn't getting up at 5 a.m.
Right.
But if you look at my life, I've gotten up early. I've always chose to be very, very productive. I have a book that I write in every day. At night before I go to bed, I schedule my next day. I make sure, like we talked about, in that day, there's shit that's going to challenge me, things that's going to get me outside my comfort zone, some shit in there that I probably maybe just don't want to do. But in my meditation that morning, I'll actually prime it, meaning I'll actually think about the shit I don't want to do. So I've already programmed what I'm going to do. Now I just physically got to act it out. But this book is another huge piece. So I've got these books going all the way back. One book is 1 year. Each day is a whole page. So I have the left column is what I'm doing, where I'm going to be. The middle column is the things I need to get done for the day. The next column over is the calls I need to make. And the far right is notes of what's going on. I have these books going back to 1992.
Wow.
Damn.
Yeah. And so what I'm getting at is I'm talking about a skill set that's not really connected to any one thing. It's a skill set you can choose to connect to whatever you want. It's the rhythms, it's the patterns, it's keeping yourself in that highly productive mode. Then all you've got to do is say, okay, perfect example. Right out of college, I was like, okay, I know that I want to be a big, strong guy. I know I want what I want to do with my life, but I'm not ready. And I was still, even though I was a big dude at that point, I still was the fat little 15-year-old boy that didn't believe it yet.
Yeah.
So I need to find a way to make money, but I need to make sure I have time to train. So I started starting businesses and failed a few times and had my first success, like we talked about. So I took my skill set and created business, and I sold it. I took my skill set, became a pro strongman, took my skill set, became a pro wrestler, took my skill set, became a pro bodybuilder, took my skill set and became, it's like all I'm doing is taking the skill set that I've developed that makes me productive and high performance, if you will, not in lifting shit, high performance in achievement, and I apply it to whatever I want. And if people would focus on their own personal skill sets at being productive, they would get so much more than they ever believe. Again, people
as opposed to what? Give me an example. Sorry. As opposed to what? What else would like? As opposed to like chasing girls or drinking or watching Netflix or like? What do you mean?
Yeah. Okay. Well, perfect example. I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning because from 4 to 7, that's highly productive time.
Yeah.
Well, let's just say I got up at 7, right? So from 4 to 7, nobody gets up at 4 in the morning and lay on the fucking couch. I get up at 4 in the morning so I can kick ass.
Right.
But then I go to sleep at 8 o'clock.
Right.
If I was awake from 8 to 11, what the fuck do you think I'd be doing?
Right. That's
wasting
that's such a fucking great story.
Wasting my fucking time. So all I do is just
no one jerks off who gets up at 4 in the morning.
You don't fucking get up at 4 to watch television.
Right. The worst thing you do is maybe like read the newspaper.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting up at 4 in the morning because you're doing that to be productive. So literally just shifting 3 hours the other way is a fucking game changer.
Yeah.
And yes, it's a pain in the ass. And then there's a couple of rules that I always live by. If people are not questioning, like I know that I'm on the right track if people don't understand me.
Right.
Because ordinary people, they look at me and go, why does he do that?
Right.
Because that's perfect. If they're not doing that, I'm slipping.
Right.
Because to be extraordinary, only the people that are extraordinary are going to understand what you're doing when you're living in that high performance mode. Does that make sense?
Holy shit. Dude, I was just at this fucking conference with like some of the smartest motherfuckers in the world. It was fucking crazy. It's called the Broken Science Conference. And this dude, Greg Glassman, was up there. And that's the founder of CrossFit again. And he said, listen, when they say 4 out of 5 dentists recommend blah, 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 the only thing you should be thinking is, I want to hear from that motherfucker who didn't recommend it.
Exactly.
What's his deal? You don't give a fuck what those other 4 guys fucking said. When it's 9 out of doctors say this, you want to talk to the doctors like, nah, don't do that.
Yeah. I mean,
and that's what you're saying, right? Like, hey, you 100%. Should. No, yeah, okay.
I mean, we were, how's this? We were kind of like, we talked about how people are kind of just bred to just go to work and blah, blah, blah. Well, if you were to take like the really, really high performance families and look at their fucking family tree going backwards.
Yeah.
These fucking kids are being woke up early so they can fucking read. These kids are being woke up early so they can self-improve before they go start their day.
Right.
Somehow that was fucking lost. Right. You know, now people wake up, they're fucking late to go. They're so late they don't eat breakfast. They're fucking sitting in traffic. It's like their life is a big fucking emergency.
Mm-hmm.
Because
that's such a good way to put it.
Wow.
Because all they're doing is they're running from fire to fire. The whole idea is get ahead of that curve so there's no fucking fires to put out. And part of that is going to be able to get up early enough to make sure you don't get behind. But more importantly, make sure you get up to fucking, better yourself. That time when the world doesn't pull on you, this is where you get ahead. It's fucking crazy. Think about this. If you spent 1 hour a day self-improving, whatever it is, it doesn't make sense what you choose.
Right.
Do the fucking math on that. That's 300 and however many days per year. Do the math on how many work. That's like weeks of work. When you do the math, you realize, holy shit, an hour a day translates into all of this extra time that I've been progressing. So you got to look at, we all have the same amount of time in the day. Well, the question is, how are you fucking spending your time? Because here's the thing. You can get money back. You can get your health back. You can get everything back, but you can't fucking get your time back. Time is a commodity that most people don't understand the value of because they got too much of it because they're wasting too much of it. When you are using your time and you realize you're running out of time in your day because you're doing things that you want to do that intrigue you, you start to realize, holy shit, this fucking shit is like valuable. And that's when you start to have people that do things for you. So you create time, like I have a series of, we have lots of people around us that do things for us. So we have more time, you know, even for my wife, she doesn't work. But we have someone that comes in every day. Someone comes into the house for 4 hours to handle shit around the house. I mean, and when I say,
do you ever get tired of people being in your house? That was one of the things as I started making money. I'm like, man, there's always some motherfucker in my house. Like, I just want to walk around here naked for a little bit. Like we used to have 2 nannies and now we don't have nannies anymore. And I'm like, so happy they're fucking gone. I loved them, but like,
well, I think for me, it's kind of like, okay, we've got big places and a lot to take care of.
Yeah.
If we don't have somebody here doing it, my wife has got too much to do and it compromises her happess. So it's kind of like chicken or egg here, and then also too, it's nice.
Are you okay with those guys staring at your wife?
The bottom line is this.
I would stare at your wife. I'd be like I'd be like one of these, like looking out of the corner of my eyes. Like,
well, here's the thing. It's a compliment.
It is.
Yeah. I mean, when someone says,
she's hard not to look at. I would be looking at you like that too. If you came out, I'd be like,
well, and that's the thing. We both look at the same way. It's like, okay, if she sees a female looking at me or I see a male looking at her, it's a compliment to us. We look at it from the right side. You can look at it from the negative side, or you can look at it from the positive side. Again, this goes back to how are you choosing to view your life? If you're a one-legged dude and you get angry when kids stare at you, you got a problem because their kids are going to be staring at you your whole fucking life. You're the one-legged dude. Think like this. We could sit here, the 3 of us, and we could just go around in a circle. I name one, you name one, you name one. We could all think about things that are negative in our lives, and we could just sit here and just go around in circles and just talk about negativity, or we could spin that around and we could go the other way and we talk positivity. And what we're doing is we're creating a vortex going in one direction or the next. And it's up to us. We as people get to decide which side of the vortex do we want to exist on. And somebody looks at my wife and says, "Oh man, blah blah blah." Thank you.
Yeah. She works hard
Thank
for
you.
that.
Right.
Right.
You know,
right.
so
I hear you, brother. Amen.
It's a perception thing. And that's
Yeah.
again, so many people are kind of just programmed to react. They don't even know why. They're just doing it because somehow they learned that that's what you're supposed to do. You know, it's like, I mean, for me to react, it would be defending her, like physically, you know, that's of course I would react. I do whatever I need to do to defend any of my family, period. End of story. At that point, it's not about, it's about doing what I need to do. But if it's just some fucking empty voice, it means nothing. Think of it like this. The voices that should actually penetrate you are the ones that you value.
Yeah.
If you love someone and they say something good or bad, that should affect you. Someone that just knocks on my door and says, "Hey, do you want to buy this XYZ?" And I say no, and they say, "Fuck you." I say, "Hey, you know, good luck at the next house." It doesn't matter. That guy, it doesn't matter.
Right. The funnest thing about this gig that I have is those voices are actually content for me. That's like the best part about having a podcast, or it's like the same with Instagram. Like I never scroll. I like, God, I spend less than 1% of my time looking at pussy on Instagram. I'm only on Instagram looking for people to have on my podcast. And so I see all these people spending all this mindless time on Instagram. I'm like, fuck, this is great. I love my fucking DMs. What do you mean I spend too much time on the phone? This is how I found John. This is how I never like, it's so, it's so fun taking other people's shit and then using it to fertilize my garden. Like, oh, you think I'm mean to women? I'm going to make an hour of content out of that. Thank you. I just fucking love it.
Well,
right?
You know,
I mean,
because when it comes down to it, you know, it's another one of my things. When you get dirty, so to speak, when life shits on you, it's fucking fertilizer.
Yeah. I've just learned that in the last couple of years.
It's like, okay, yes, this appears to be poop, but it's actually going to make me fucking grow. I'm going to rinse it off. I'm going to be just fine. Okay, got a little in my mouth. That sucks, but I'll be okay.
Chris Rock probably just made $50 million off of Will Smith slapping him.
Yes.
God bless Will Smith.
That was the best fucking slap on the planet.
Yes.
I mean, Jesus Christ. Yeah. It was great. Yeah. So that's exactly it. Our biggest blessings are always what appear to be our biggest challenges.
Alan Kestenbaum, I do 100 burpees a day, no matter what. It's good for my muscles, my lungs, and my heart. It's a habit that has already made me change other bad habits in my life. Thank you, Jesus, or thank you, Buddha, or thank you, someone.
Yeah, habits. I'm telling you. Here's another pearl right here. The good habits you have will help you for the rest of your life. The bad habits you have will plague you for the rest of your life. That's one. Here's another one. This is a doozy right here. You cannot guarantee your future, but you can guarantee the habits that will predict your future. That's the skill set I was talking about. It's a personal skill set.
Did you not? Were you not a goal? I was never a goal person, but I live a pretty fucking charmed life. And someone explained to me one time, it was actually the founder of Street Parking, Miranda Alcaraz. She said, if you have good habits and you're passionate, and what was the other one? Do you remember what the other one was, Souza? Good habits, passionate, and fuck, I can't remember. She says your life will be good. And I was like, oh yeah, that's the way my life is. I have those three things. I'm very passionate. I have good habits. And that third thing, I had that. And I was like, because I used to always trip on people who had goals, right? And I'd be like, fuck, I don't really have like goals. My goals is just.
I guess goals is kind of everybody's got their own definition. Some are real crystal clear, like achievement. Like perfect example, like when I was becoming a pro strongman, my goal was to get my pro card. As bodybuilder, my goal was to get my pro card at bodybuilder. My goal was to get a contract as a wrestler. Very tangible shit. But when you're going a little deeper than that, it's like, you know, as the growth spiritually, it's hard to put like, okay, I want to achieve this certain thing with my spiritual growth. It becomes more of a, it's, I guess goal would be more of a progression. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I always think a goal without a habit attached to that goal is just a wish list.
Yeah.
So if I have a goal and I say something like, hey, you know, I want to do X, my next thought process, and it's funny, John, because we have something very similar. This is actually a packet of stuff for the year, and I did the same thing as you without even knowing it. They're a little bit different, but the same. And so each goal that I wrote out, the first thing I think is, okay, what skill set or what habit do I need to achieve that goal? And then, then I focus on the skill set or attaining the habit or the skill set or leaving a habit behind, right? So it's one of those three things. And then that's actually what I focus on to bring me closer to the goal. The goal just creates the vision and the intentionality. The habit and the skill set create the momentum, the vehicle to get me to that goal.
Yes, because sometimes that goal is just that forward momentum, that growth, you know, being a little better today than I was yesterday. That can be but it's not quite so tangible. Like I need to put this in my pocket. You know, those are goals.
I don't have a bucket list. Like I need to go to Paris, or I need 3 mansions, or I want to have a Porsche by the time I'm 37. But I do have, but I guess you're right. Goals incrementally to do better and better every day. And like you said, sort of get rid of the bad habits, cull the herd of just negativity and shit that's in my life.
Yeah, for sure. And this kind of all sits right around that conversation of, you know, when you ask, what did I do to get here?
Yeah.
I mean, it's literally, it's all about, I mean, we're talking about all of this stuff kind of comes together, and everybody's formula is going to be different for them, but all the stuff we're talking about is all kind of goes into creating, you know, that thing that everybody's thing is going to be a little different, and it's going to apply to different directions in their life, whatnot. But I think the answer, just to make that real, go back to it, to make sure I didn't sum that up very clear, is it's a personal skill set of being productive, being able to move forward. And part of that skill set is to redefine your failure. So you're moving forward unaltered by the fear of failure, unaltered by the fear of judgment of others, because now you're truly moving forward to what is important to you, not being altered by judgment or failure. And that's where you really make progress.
Dude, that's a great clip.
Mm-hmm. There's been a lot of them through this show.
Hey,
right on.
What are you?
I'm doing now a lot of speaking, and I speak on, you know, basically how fear is your friends, how you can literally fail your way to success, you know, and then of course leadership is a big one too. You know, I speak on leadership too, but this is all the shit that we're talking about. It's like most times when I'm talking and I explain, you know, what's going on, people, it's like they don't even realize that they've been positioned to be afraid of things. They veer away from things. They veer away from failure. They veer away from being uncomfortable. They don't even know why. They don't even know who told them to do it. Sometimes there wasn't somebody. It was society, or it was the people.
I was raised to avoid discomfort. I hated sweating as a kid. Now, if I don't sweat every day, I feel like my life's a failure. My wife told me one time that the only reason why people lie is to avoid discomfort. All lying, all cheating, all stealing, the reason why you cheat on a test, everything is the reason why you rob a bank. It's all to avoid discomfort.
Yeah, if you trace it back, that's correct, because it's some sort of a fast track to get what you could have gotten through dealing with it honestly, through being uncomfortable, you know? So that's pretty profound for sure. You know,
right? Dishonesty. You lied to your mom. What time did you come home last night? 10 o'clock. You were fucking out till 1.
Yeah.
Were you smoking any weed? Fuck no. That's for losers. Yeah, you were. And all you're doing is you're lying because you're avoiding the discomfort, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's crazy. And the thing about this is like what you just said, so true. But most people have probably never heard that statement or taken a minute to think about it, to understand it. And this is the kind of shit that I think if people's awareness was to be, you know, if their horizons were a little broad, and if they were to hear some things that would make them think, it would it would inspire them to take more affirmative steps forward to actually go get what they want, rather than just kind of following this, I call it the zombie. It's almost like the zombie effect. People are just kind of raised into this, go to school, get a job, have kids, raise your family. And it's like, granted, having kids is wonderful, but everybody needs to have self-fulfillment. They need to have something that makes them happy, because when you're a happy person, you give off a different vibe, a different energy. Your kids are happier. Like kids grow up in really fucking nasty homes, and they're nasty adults because they learned that shit, because their parents are fucking mad as hell because they got to go to work and they got to do shit they don't want to do. Right. And they don't have enough money to do what they want to do, or whatever it is. It's like, it's a learned behavior.
Hey, are you pretty? Were you pretty physically intimate, man? And like with your kids, did you hold your kids a lot? Were you a touchy feely parent?
Yeah, I was really. I'm very affectionate. I mean, even to
affectionate.
This day,
that's the word I'm looking for. Yeah. Affectionate.
Even to this day, I mean, I have my ladies, as I call them. I've got my mom, I've got my wife. And I've got my 3 daughters. And so I text my 3 daughters pretty much every morning, tell them I love them. But, I've always been very open about the way I feel towards them. And I tried to cultivate a very, very comfortable space. There was, we always had that friend or someone says, I never heard my parents say that they loved me. Well, that wasn't me, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm happy to tell you how I feel, because it makes me feel good too.
And your wife, has she always believed in you?
It's funny, she, and I say this as a joke, but it's honestly at times it's the truth. I think sometimes she believes in me more than I believe in myself.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because whenever I'm addressing something that's difficult, that self-doubt is a huge driver for me. I've learned to harness failure. I've learned to harness fear. I've learned to harness self-doubt. I've learned anything that comes into my path, I harness it, good, bad, or the other. And she's seen it enough from the outside. She knows it's going to happen, as to where I know that I've done it over and over and over, but you always wonder, there's always that moment where bam, something lands there. Oh, holy shit, this is a little different, and that moment of self-doubt will hit. I mean, take a deep breath. I always figure out a way to overcome what's in front of me. But in that moment where it drops down in front of you and it looks different, sometimes that voice will creep into your head. But she always has been the one saying, no, listen, you always go, and it's not that you just get what you want. You find a way to get what you want.
Yeah, like in the movies, the cliche is you're hanging out with some friends and they pass you a joint that you don't really want to smoke, or you drink, or you throw a rock at a car passing by that your friends peer pressured you to do, and you made the wrong decision by peer pressure. But it's like that with my wife too. What you said, it's not only that she believes in me, but she actually will help me get on the right path. My wife's never pointed to a path, and I'm later on like, fuck that bitch. Why'd I do what she said? I'm always like, God damn, how did she see that and I didn't? And I go start running down that path. I'm like, damn, she nailed it.
And it's crazy because, like with my wife, she's telling me that I'm doing something where I'm getting off track, so I'm because when I'm in my groove, if anything, she's trying to tell me to breathe, because she's like,
yeah, my wife does that too. Breathe. Don't clench your fist. Relax.
It's like I'm underwater. That's like deep water. I'm not swimming. I'm swimming underwater. That's how focused I get. I don't.
And we already know you don't float. We already know you.
That's right. That's right. But what she'll say to me is, she'll say, and this is where I know, is she'll say, I don't think that's a good idea, which usually means, okay, I'm pushing the limits to the point where I haven't calculated my risk versus reward with this next thing I'm about ready to do. I'm a little off of my calculation, because of course we're constantly moving forward and we're calculating risk versus reward. Okay, the best is this, the worst is this. Can I live with the worst? Blah, blah, blah. Well, every once in a while, that risk calculation might be a little off because I'm so focused on getting over an obstacle. And that's where she'll play, hey, I don't think that's a good idea. And sometimes it could even be, I don't think it's a good idea. It could be she sees that I'm eating more than I'm supposed to. So it can be sometimes the littlest or the biggest things. But having somebody in your corner that you know is only looking out for you, that you trust, is a fucking blessing.
Yeah. My wife will even be like, hey, go to the bathroom. I'm like, how the fuck did you know? It's like, how did is your relationship with her accidental, just day by day? And now it's, 20 or how long you been together?
Oh, goodness. We've been together almost 20 years, 18 years. And so in the beginning, when we first, I truly thank my lucky stars, because when we got together, I just wasn't in really the place where I was looking for what she brought to the table. And so I was getting out of a relationship I was in my peak of my pro strongman career, getting out of a relationship that was taking a lot of energy away from my goals. And all I was looking for was a chick that I could hang out with, have some good sex, that we were compatible, that wasn't going to start draining my energy again. And she was all those things, but she was so much more. And I just wasn't prepared for what she had to offer. And so I guess I kind of kept keeping her at a distance. And when I was saying earlier, I actually told our kids, hey, I would tell them a few stories about her. I wasn't really proud of my behavior. It was during that time period. Because, I wasn't like I was just, a foul-mouthed jerk-off. I was not very polite to a woman that loved me to death, that I loved as well. Yeah, that would have been the time frame right there.
God, what a cool life you've lived.
Oh, man. I tell you what, brother, and here's the thing. Discipline is freedom. Discipline is first, it's self-love, then it's freedom. Because without discipline, I wouldn't have been doing any of this shit.
Mm-hmm.
I went from this career to fucking walking out in front of 50,000 people in the Tokyo Dome.
Oh, yeah. That's great. That's great.
It was like, but it's just when it comes down to it, that's that skill set that I was talking about. There we go. Yeah. It was like the skill set that you develop in terms of being a productive person and getting rid of, sometimes it's not always about creating all these great habits, just getting rid of your bad habits first.
Right.
And then stacking on a few new good habits. And think of it like this. If your productivity doubles, it's almost like you could live twice the life.
For sure. I'm a huge believer that people, we live in a society where people have it backwards. They think they need to add things to their life.
Yes.
You don't need to add things to your life. You need to stop eating after 6 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
You don't. There's this, you don't need more shit in your house. You need to throw some shit away. You don't need a microwave. You need to throw your microwave away.
Brother, and check this out. There's one word, 2 fucking letters that make one word that is not used enough when it comes to getting what the fuck you want. And that is no.
Yeah.
You want to go out tonight? No. You want to do this? No. Granted, it'll set you free because you're going to be able to focus on what you want. But the flip side of that, like example for me, when I really started cooking, all my buddies were fucking still going out. They're going to parties. And I had to say no over and over and over. Well, at a certain point, they're so used to that, they just stop inviting you to do shit. And you have to realize, listen, it's not that they don't love you anymore. They're just fucking tired of you saying no.
Right.
It's okay. And so you have to kind of realize that, it's like you got what you wanted, but at the same time, you realize you can't take offense to your friends that got tired of you saying no, so they stop asking.
Right.
But that word no, if people would use that word, it would fucking change their lives. Because again,
thank you.
There we go. If you want to be extraordinary, it's something, then you're going to have to say no to the ordinary people a lot, because the ordinary people just want to go about their ordinary life. And there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
There it is again. My buddy Travis Bajent. I wonder, do you know who that is by any chance?
It sounds familiar. I'm not connecting the dots.
Anyway, he was the world's best arm wrestler for a while, and his son.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. Gotcha. Yeah.
And his son's about to get drafted into the NFL, and he told me the other day, just last month on the phone, he goes, "Hey, dude," I go, "What?" He goes, "I'm done with ordinary people." He goes, "What do you mean?"
Yeah.
He goes, "The ordinary people in my life, they're grandfathered in. I'm not gonna kick them out, but no more regular motherfuckers. None.
That's it.
Zero, dude. Yeah, there's Travis.
Yeah. Savage, straight up savage, baby. Yeah, but that's the truth, because if the ordinary people, there's nothing wrong with being ordinary and watching TV after work and drinking on the weekend. It's great. But if you want to be extraordinary, you need to say no to the lifestyle of the ordinary. It's that fucking simple. And then don't get fucking butthurt when they stop inviting you to do that.
Right. And I've experienced that too. People just stopped people stopped inviting me places. Yeah.
My wife, because she was like a social butterfly before we got together. And then we got together and it was like a whole different story. I mean, I'm in mode and she supports me totally. And she's like, a couple of years in, she's like, I don't know why none of my friends are asking me to do anything anymore. I said, honey, because you tell them no all the time, because we're doing what we're doing. We're traveling, we're doing this. I said, you can't look at them like they don't want to see you. You've told them no for the last 2 years straight. Of course they're going to ask.
My friends never invited me to go camping because they knew that I hated camping, but it would hurt my feelings that they wouldn't invite me.
Yeah.
I'm like, you asshole, it's your fault. You always say no.
I've never been invited camping because I think the people that know me realize that I probably would laugh at the invitation.
Do you follow Judy says I bet he follows Dave Ramsey. You follow Dave Ramsey?
Yeah, I mean, keep in mind all of these people that have the thought process in life that helps us expand who we are. I listen to them all, because here's the thing. Everybody's message is a little different. And sometimes you have two people that are speaking the same message, but it will hit one person different than the next. So one of the things that I always say is listen to these people who talk differently, because this is what will help you reprogram your mind. When your mind is programmed in a certain way and you don't even know why, well, you can reprogram it with someone who speaks differently that will help you understand. You know, like we've talked about some things that hopefully have opened up some people's eyes. Like, whoa, I never thought about that.
Right.
Well, that's just the tip of the iceberg, because there's so many people who have so many good things to say to get us to open our minds, to think about things from a different standpoint, to help us be the best versions of us, no matter what our own definition is.
Right.
And, Ramsey, I mean, there's so many good people out there to listen to. And when it comes down to it, I mean, if you break it all down, it's getting outside your comfort zone. It's realizing it's okay to fail. The roots of the majority of what people talk about are really similar. And if you follow it deep enough, you'll find that. And then it starts to realize, okay, all these people that have done really well and that are really happy, boy, some of their common threads are really fucking similar. Maybe I should pay closer attention,
I have to go pee.
You do?
Yeah. Please, excuse me. You got this, Souza?
Yeah, sure. I like what you're saying about the common thread between everybody, because there's a set of principles, right? And so a lot of the people who are constantly striving for improvement in their lives and to kind of add value in everything they touch and do have that common denominator of the same principles that they're operating by in their life, which normally starts with prepping the day. A successful day starts the night before.
100%. 100%, bro. That's the whole book thing, is that, I mean, tomorrow's success is planned today. And one of the things I love about writing in my book is I write down where I'm going to be, what I'm going to be doing, the things I need to do, the calls I need to make. And I do that. Literally have an alarm goes off at 6:15 that tells me to do that. And so by doing that, I programmed my mind on what's going to happen tomorrow morning. So it's almost like I wake up, and of course, a lot of times I'll take a quick glance at my book, but the planning, it's almost like, so the subconscious is the body, the conscious is the mind. And so really what I'm doing is I'm programming my subconscious. And at that point, my body just carries out these tasks, you know? But yeah, the idea of planning the night before and carrying out the tasks, and it's like to even sometimes visualize what you're going to be doing can make you execute that task even better.
That take you a while to find that groove to stay consistent in that? Because one thing that I found is like if I slip off, because I do something very similar, but I kind of do it for the week, and I'm actually wrote down notes on how you organize yours and going to be kind of following that system. But one of the things I found is that if I fall off the consistency a little bit, I don't want to like open it back up, because I know that I'm going to be confronted with a bunch of stuff that I had planned out that I didn't do or I didn't accomplish. Right. So how long did it take you to kind of find that rhythm of that preparation?
Well, I mean, for me, I've always been, I don't like the feeling of getting behind. It makes me, I don't know, it gives me I feel I'm happier when I'm one step ahead. When I'm one step behind, I become unhappy. I become disappointed in myself. So I learned that, and I focused on that, and I realized that just doing my daily task of writing things down, that 5 minutes brings me so much clarity. I won't make the trade of not doing it. And then once we got telephones that had fucking alarms, I was like, holy shit, this is going to be so fucking easy now.
You got a prompt.
I would say on any given day, I have 13 alarms that go off of my phone because they're just transitions. It's time to do this, time to do that, you know? And so now when you have an alarm to remind you to do something, and then here's the thing. So here's the answer for you, brother. What you have to do is you have to connect doing that task with something that makes you feel good, because then you want to do it. If the task is something that doesn't bring you joy, it's just a task with no payday. But when you get a reward for your task, you can't wait to do it.
Is that the two alarms we've heard? Were those transition alarms?
Those are transition alarms. Yeah. So we've blown through two of my transitions during the show.
John, why did you do this? When I reach out to you and I asked you to come on the podcast, why do you do it? Or like, why do it? Are
brother,
you like, what the fuck is this nonsense?
I'm in a place right now in my life, brother, where it's like, fuck. I mean, I'm blessed. I mean, gee, when I was a fat little boy wanting to be a big, strong guy and learn to make money, yeah, if you'd said, look, put your fucking pinky on a cutting board, chop it off with a meat cleaver, you can be a pro bodybuilder. Hunk, done. Right? And then they said, okay, put out your ring finger, chop that one off, and you can also be a pro wrestler. Hunk. Okay, put your middle finger out, you can be a pro strongman. Hunk. So I would be missing 3 fingers.
Yeah.
If I had the option to choose the life that I've had.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm getting at is I'm fucking blessed. And now the craziest part about this whole fucking journey, dude, and this is fucking mind blowing. All of the fun and all of the achievements and all the accolades are great. But the most, hands down, the most fulfilling part of what I've done and what I'm doing is basically helping other people, the giving back. And so when I have a chance to come on to a platform where I can, even if we just affected one person's life in this show, we did something good.
Yep. All right. I've got, and you know what? You ooze that too. It's not even like that's hard to spot from you.
Oh, brother, I'm telling you, because there's my babies. We're missing one of my oldest daughter's not in that picture. That was actually, this is pretty cool. That was we were actually at a movie premiere where we were all 3 in the movie. So my little girls, they were extras. They got to go to a red carpet event, walk into a theater and watch themselves on the big screen.
Oh, that's cool.
That's cool.
Yeah. But when it comes down to it, I mean, the bottom line is once you start to realize that giving back is so much more fulfilling, it's like now it's just that's why I'm going into speaking now, because now I'm trying to take, I'm just trying to open up the platform as big as I can. And it's like life can be such a beautiful place if you it's like so many people are looking at it from here. And if they just want to hear, it's like, whoa, look how much better it can be. And it's such an easy pivot. And it's like, really what it comes down to in many cases is just to reprogramming some little bits of someone's mind to help them see that redefining a few things, like just redefining failure alone can be a life fucking changing thing.
Do you know who Tony Blauer is?
Name rings a bell. Connecting the dots again.
He's a big God. He invented the SPEAR system, SPEAR. He does a lot of combatives training. Anyway, he's a really cool fucking dude. He's out of North County, San Diego. The SPEAR. This guy right here. Yeah. He would fucking love to have you on his podcast, I bet. Can I share his information with you? He's a great 100%, guy. 100%. He's so good. He's all about that. Like basically, like he's such a fear guy. The psychology of fear. You guys would have a fucking blast. Yeah, no, that sounds great. I mean, and the whole idea is having these conversations that can benefit somebody listening. I mean, that's a beautiful thing. I mean, this technology that we have now to communicate on such a mass scale. I mean, it's the duty of it's our duty to do this in a way where people do have a positive, they're affected positively from shows like this, because unfortunately, I believe that there are just too many people out there that are so much closer to being happy than they think. It's like an illusion. They're just looking at the wrong things. It's like we talked about. We could all three sit here and share things that are wrong, or we can go the other way, share things that are right. And you start down a vortex of one way or the next, and the two vortexes are butted up together and they go opposite directions. Well, if you're trained to go into the right vortex, if you're made aware mentally to travel into the good side, life is so different. Sometimes it's just a matter of just pivoting a little bit. Audrey says, "Sir, are you an Enneagram 1? This man is speaking to my soul." Do you know about those Enneagrams? Every once in a while, someone will mention these in the comments. No, what is that? It's some psychology test where you take it and you fall into like one of 4 categories. But she's obviously taken it, and you're speaking to her soul. This podcast is one of my go-tos to expand my mind and to help lead a disciplined life. Ramsey, Mind Pump, Sevan, John Delaney. That's awesome. Thank you. One of the things, what you said about getting up early, I knew when I had kids that it would never be appropriate for my kids to get up before me. So if my kids got up at 6, I need to be up at 5. If my kids got up at 5, I would need to be up at 4. And I would never, the reason why is there's stuff you have to do as a parent before your kids are up. Yep. And if you don't, you will play catch up. And I would watch my wife sometimes get up after my kids, and I'd watch her play catch up. She'd always be stressed out. And I said, hey, there's a strong correlation here between how your morning goes and whether you get up before your kids. You should never, and you can leverage your ego too. It doesn't matter why you get up. If it's because you want to be competitive with some jackass in your household, your parents, your wife, your kids, just do it. Leverage your ego if you have to get up first. But there's these things that you keep bringing up that I'm like, yeah, these are common themes. I did them for different reasons, but they're huge to my success. Oh, I'm telling you, if this is crazy. I mean, let's just say that you took every billionaire on the planet, and there's a shitload of them now because since the internet, it's so much easier to make money. If you look at lots of pharma billionaires the last couple of years. So, and let's just say that you take the billionaires and even say the people that are 100 million and above. One of the biggest common themes you're going to find is they all get up really fucking early. Right. Mm-hmm. That's like the number one thing you're going to, I mean, there's probably, let's just say there's a top 10. Getting up early, I would fucking bet my left arm will be number one. Right. And it's literally, it sounds weird to say, get up early, it will change your life. I mean, obviously you have to get up early, but the intent
of bettering yourself. But get up early and read. Get up early and go for a walk. Get up early and do something productive, and you will start to see positive changes in your life. Even if it's not even really specific and focused. Just fucking do it, and it will start to evolve into something specific and focused.
Like you said, too, if you get up at fucking 4, you're not going to be wasting your time between 8 and 11 watching some show on Netflix you could give 2 shits about.
Exactly.
That's so good.
Yeah. I mean, are we gonna focus on ourselves? Or are we gonna focus on other people through social media or TV? Well, focus on other people. You're definitely not growing when you're focused on, unless you're watching somebody to learn from them. That's understandable. Right. Like when I do watch television, it's usually 30 minutes a day. And it's usually like 30 minutes right before I fall asleep. And I'm always listening to somebody who's helping me open my mind. And then that's the shit I usually dream about. Like last night I watched Grant Cardone. And
that's someone in the comments said you were a Grant Cardone guy.
Yeah, he's a fucking hard ass real estate mogul. But more than anything, he's just go. And I ended up fucking dreaming about the shit he was talking about all night.
Yeah.
And so like I was watching, God, who was I watching? Some Alex Hormozy. I mean, you can watch Tony Robbins. There's so many people that you can listen to that will help open your mind about business or spiritual growth or whatever it is. And when you go to sleep, that shit's rolling around your subconscious because your brain actually develops when you're sleeping. And that's another thing that people don't recognize, that they can better themselves when they're fucking sleeping. But let me the flip side. It was about 2 weeks ago. I was watching, it's called Nick Strength and Power. It's a YouTube channel about strength and bodybuilding and stuff. And it's fun to see what's happening out there. One of my podcast co-hosts he's still at real high level in bodybuilding. And sometimes, how did he do, whatnot. So I watched this thing before I went to sleep. I fucking dreamt about bodybuilding all fucking night. Well, not that that's terribly bad, but it definitely is not helping me grow. I mean, bodybuilding now is something that's behind me,
John, you can actually ask yourself a question before you go to bed, and you get the answer when you wake up in the morning.
I'm telling you,
it's incredible. The brain's incredible.
The subconscious mind works all night long. And the question is, are you going to give it something good or bad to chew on? It's your choice.
Hey, it was a great pleasure meeting you. This went swimmingly well. I had no idea where it would go. Absolutely none. We didn't even touch. I thought we would talk much more about your career, and you would tell us stories about, Well,
dude, let's do it again. Let's do it again. All we
guys getting thrown off of balconies and sex and drugs and rock and roll. And
usually, I would say I don't know that I've ever been on a podcast where we've gotten it all done in the first shot. So we'll just have to schedule another one.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your optimism, your positivity, your candor, your generosity with your spirit, your wisdom. Fuck, dude, you're a cool cat.
Yeah, thank you. I got a ton out of this.
Well, I appreciate you guys. It was as much fun for me as it was for you guys, and for all you guys listening. I spend a lot of time in my DMs in my Instagram account. That's, if you want to catch me, that's going to be the best way, because my goal in life now is to affect as many people positively as I can before my time is up.
Awesome. I love that goal. All right, brother. John, we have each other's phone numbers. Anything I can do for you? And I'm sure we're going to do this again.
Yeah. Well, just let me know when you want to schedule part 2. And obviously, like I said, there's a whole nother side we didn't even open up.
Awesome. Yeah. I know you have a lot of good stories. I'd like to hear some good stories.
Yeah. Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right, brother.
Thank you, guys.
Have a beautiful day. Stay dry. Wow.
So that was kind of trippy for me because we have a lot of similar things.
You and him.
Yeah. I'm not but mine are like he's got the fully baked cake in the oven. And I just threw mine in there and started to turn up the temperature. And then having this episode with him, he's like, no, you got to put it at 425 degrees. Make sure to set your timers, make sure to check on the cake. Yeah. So he filled in a ton of gaps. So I'm kind of excited to put some of it into action, to utilize some of it.
What did I say yesterday that would upset someone about women? The only thing I heard, I was trying to think this, the YouTube comment said,
It's irrational. You can't even figure that out. There's no way you could figure that out.
I was thinking to myself, I was like, he was the one that kept calling, who was on yesterday? Zach.
Zach, yeah.
Zach kept calling, Lehman Nielsen. What's the swimmer's name? Leah Thomas. Okay, he's the one who kept calling Leah Thomas a woman, not me. What did I say that was offensive towards women yesterday? I was tripping on that. I'm like, fuck, I want to go back and listen to. I'm not going to.
I don't think there really was anything that would warrant that. I mean, when I had made that joke a while back, and I was like, yeah, so glad we got this president. And the worst thing Trump was doing was bringing back manufacturing to the U.S. or like that passing one. And I got that like the most hateful DM I've ever gotten.
Right.
And so like, how am I going to like, I could analyze that or try to figure it out, but why? I don't want to understand that person's mentality. I've never taken the time to sit there and like write out something to insult somebody on something that they've said. Like, I don't want to understand that person. I don't want to invest the time into that when I could take that same time and invest it into somebody else who I'm going to get so much more out of.
That's interesting. Greg said you don't want to like understand a fucking pedophile or a serial murderer to the point where you become them. I was God.
You start to become empathetic, right? Well, guys, hold on. Let's see it from their point of view. It's like, no, fucker. There's no, we're not even going there with that shit.
Someone else wrote, a cat wrote, thought it was your show, Sevy. Geez, surprised everyone liked the show. Dude was too much. I don't know if I have the exact sentiment, but I knew within the first 10 minutes with Zach, I was like, okay, I'm going to just chill. And it wasn't,
yeah, but that makes it easy, especially when he has a bunch
he's definitely an easy guest. Holy shit, he's so easy. But also maybe if we had a couple more shows together, he would settle down. And it would be a back and forth.
I would like to see him on kind of the live call-in format where we react to stuff on the internet, because he does have, a different take on a lot of things, and we'll kind of discuss those positions. And I think that'd be cool.
I know that Sevan, you were actually for women by pushing back. I just want to on letting men compete against women and using their bathrooms, not only for women, but I don't have an issue with the woman becoming president of the United States or a woman becoming the fucking curing all the world's problems. What I do have an issue with is this belittlement, like there's something greater than being a mom, because there is not. And I stand firmly on my ground. There is not anything better than being a mom and raising kids. Now, someone's gonna be like, well, I disagree with you. Well, that's okay. But that's not saying anything about negative about women. I mean, yeah, but I am disappointed with how society has. I feel like society
undervalued that.
Yeah, has shit on that.
Yeah.
More than undervalued, just shit on it and set up a system where women are trying to compete with men. It's like, dude, you got some fucking shit you can do that's fucking space travel worthy. like you're in charge of the future of the planet by fucking the babies you make and how you raise them.
And the funny part about it, some of the like real hardcore radical like feminist types will say that, they'll argue that whole point, and then they'll also argue the transgender thing. And then it's kind of like, wait, so essentially you're just saying then now men could just say that they're women and then go back to that same hierarchy that you were originally fighting against.
Right.
Like there's a big flaw in that logic,
Sevan wishes he could be a mom. Yeah. Thank you, Hiller. Thank you for Hiller translate. And Michael C, invite more people, that more followers. Or does he mean with more followers? That's a secret to getting more followers, but no, it will also bring people to the platform that may not agree.
Is the intention to get more followers?
I don't know. I'm just inviting people that I see that look interesting. I mean, dude, I invite Souza and I, like, there's an hour. Probably Souza spends an hour every day, and I'm dealing with the people that I send him to try to get on the show. And I probably spend literally 4 or 5 hours a day researching people to have on the show. Mm-hmm. I'm not even joking. I know it sounds crazy, but that's what I do. I mean, yesterday before I went to bed, I watched this guy's shit, John Andersen shit for 2 hours. Mm-hmm. I did not think we were going to have the conversations we had.
No.
And he's 1,000 times cooler than I imagined. I mean, I thought he was cool, but.
Yeah, there is that show had a lot of really good nuggets in it.
More parenting shows and combos. I agree. I would love to do that too. I love that stuff.
Yeah.
People should be begging to be on your show. And some people are. That's the thing.
Yeah. Yep. We got some of those too. Don't
Yeah, we
worry
got
about that.
a lot of those. The thing is that as soon as someone wants to come on the show, it's usually kind of like it's a different kind. It's a weird show. Like even Zach, I guess, said to Hiller that he wanted to be on the show, and he kind of fit into that guest the way it turned out, who wants to be on the show. There's something different about people that pursue the show versus people that I pursue. I can't quite put my thumb on it. Souza, make a fucking book list already.
Wow. Aggressive.
Brandon Graham, moms run the world. Your career will replace you and not care. Your kids will miss you. Yeah, there's yeah, that's some powerful shit. Love the Instagram post of your kids, thrusters, one post, and kickboxing the next. Hey, you want to see something really weird?
Yeah, but it's gotta be kind of quick because I gotta go to the gym.
Okay, you can leave. Well, I'll show you, and then you.
But I want to see it now. I hate leaving the shows early because I feel like I miss out on a bunch of stuff.
You do.
I do, and I selfishly want it to be about me and on my time.
Yes, I understand. I posted this. The Chris Rock thing is so worth watching. So I posted this. I took video. Oh, Hiller, you're gonna trip on this. So yes, last night before I went to bed, I posted this Chris Rock video, and look, it only has 15 plays. And that means that somehow Instagram is blocking this.
For sure.
It's crazy. How could this not have?
You can't even comment on it? Oh, no, it's because you're
No, it has 0 comments.
Oh,
Hello?
Hiller said, dude, I commented. Go make
Hello?
your list, Caesar.
You commented. I don't see it on there.
Yeah.
Oh, did you comment on the other one? Maybe you commented on this one.
Oh, that's got 2 comments.
Yeah, you commented on this one.
Impressive.
Yeah. He says, I'm not sure I've seen those kind of numbers on this platform. How do you do it? I've never seen. How could something be up for 7 hours and only have 7 plays?
Yeah.
It's so fucking weird. Hey, so when you guys watch this Chris Rock thing, at the very end, he walks off stage and it shows him walking off stage and he's almost in tears. The end is really emotional for him because he talks about his relationship with Will Smith. And then he says something at the end about basically what it means to be black in this country. It's some fucking really powerful, beautiful shit, to be honest. And it's some, yeah, I want more of you guys to see it before I talk about it. But he walks off of stage and he walks into the back, and there's no one there for him to hug. There's 2 security guards there, and they take him and they walk him like probably 100 feet to a door, and you see him walk off stage. And it's like, at the end of that show, I've never seen a man who needs to hug someone more than fucking what I saw with Chris Rock right there. Like, he really needs someone to hug. And yeah, it's a trip. Please watch that and tell me what you guys think. Kenneth Delap, Sevan, looking at your message numbers gives me anxiety. I know, it's crazy. I mean, it's crazy.
You should see his text message numbers.
What message numbers? What are you talking about?
On the screen, we could see your DMs. It says 19.
Dude,
but if there's it'd be like 430.
Dude, there's 500 DMs in there, and this morning I already answered 100 of them. It never goes above 20 for some reason.
It's a never-ending game, dude. Because every time you respond, people reply. I haven't touched mine in a little bit just because I've been crazy busy with my increased coaching schedule the last week, and so I haven't even opened it. I'm like, fuck.
It's not even showing up on your page. Oh, the Chris Rock one? When you go there, you can't even see it? Yeah, they did something.
Yeah, probably some weird algorithm thing because it's the show.
Oh, look at that. Just went to your Instagram. That video isn't even showing up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why it got crushed.
because it's a recording of a Chris Rock and they're doing everything and they can. That's like Hiller and Hiller the other day tried to just even pull it up on StreamYard through Netflix and it gets blocked.
Wouldn't do it. Yeah. I have this clip of you know who Gary Vaynerchuk is?
Yeah.
Gary V, and he's in Breakfast Club. This was probably like in 2019, maybe 18 when he recorded it. And it's him literally coining the phrase Karen. Because he's on there and he's like, yeah. And I'm like, Bob, like, don't be a Karen. And then everybody in the Breakfast Club laughs. They're like, who's Karen? What's this? Why are you calling him Karen? And then he like explains the story. So I took it and I clipped it. And I was like, hey, let's just put this on a YouTube short to see if it's one of those random YouTube shorts that gets like hundreds of thousands of views because it's Gary Vee Breakfast Club and coining the phrase Karen. So like probably about 3 months ago, I uploaded it on my YouTube as a short. And it started to take off right away, like faster than anything else on the YouTube channel. I think it had like 250 views within the first like 5 minutes or something.
Wow.
And then it went away. They blocked it from being sub because it was a copyright.
Oh shit.
So since I pulled it from that out of context and like even changed a little bit of it, it's still the algorithm still recognized it. And as it started to go, it just went poof, shut down. So they're smart with that.
I want to say one thing about parenting too, by the way. I never thought I would be a good parent, never wanted to be a parent. And once I had kids, it's weird. Like there was something happened to me. I'm possessed to not be selfish and to focus on my kids. And I don't even recognize the person I've become. So no one should be afraid that so much shit will just happen biologically. You'll basically start turning into your parents. And I had really loving, caring parents. So,
lucky.
Yeah, lucky. I agree. Lucky. It's a bit much, but worth watching. Oh, the Chris Rock. Yeah, it is a bit much. There's a couple things in there that he says that are just completely fucking idiotic, but, I think it's worth watching. The whole January 6th thing that he does is just fucking retarded. Okay.
All right.
Do you think calling a country a shithole is racist? Sorry, I know you have to go.
No.
We'll do a live call-in show.
Yeah, no, I don't think it is. I don't think it's racist.
Maybe like rude, right? Or lacks tact. Maybe.
I think it was just.
It's the murder capital of of planet Earth, where more humans are killed. I mean, that's kind of a shithole, right?
I mean, 100%. But the thing is it's not. It's focusing on the wrong things. They're not actually focusing on the context of what's being talked about. They're just focusing on the way that was packaged.
Right. And another thing that they said, I guess Trump said that he thought maybe a judge was biased because the judge was Mexican and he was judging a case with Mexicans in it, and they called that racist. But the irony there is that no black people want a jury that's all white people.
Right.
And they purposely choose juries that aren't white people when there are black people. That's everyone does that. And yet they're calling I'm just like, the same people who are calling him racist are the ones who are like, that was completely unfair. Rittenhouse didn't have any black people on his jury. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like, it goes back to what Zach was saying yesterday. You can't have it both ways. Which is it?
Yeah.
Are we picking juries because of their color of their skin, or are we not?
Right. Double standard.
Yeah. What is going on here?
We love a good double standard.
Did you see, I know you got to go. Did you see Tucker Carlson was on Nelk Boys?
Yes, I saw that he was on Nelk Boys. No, I haven't watched it yet. I'm waiting. I got some time today. I'm going to carve out, and I like to think that I'm going to like program some workouts and listen to that at the same time, which I'll probably do one and not the other.
Okay.
Have you watched it yet?
I watched clips of it.
Okay.
I watched clips of it. The NSA hacked his Signal account. And they told him they did. Yeah. I mean, they hacked everything. Anyone who thinks it's Signal or Telegram or anything, everything is being watched.
Yeah, for sure.
The 80% of you that are addicted to Pornhub, the government has all the content of you looking into your camera like, oh. They got it. They got it. Just know. Just know.
Hey, I had this theory that like cars wouldn't be allowed these days. Like if you had the gas-filled car and cash, it's like the last bit of freedom
Yes.
that we truly have. Because I know you could take a couple $100 in cash. You could hop in your car with no cell phone device. It's got to be old car. Can't be a Tesla. Because don't you fuckers forget. Everybody knows where you're at in your Tesla. It can be controlled from a central location.
Yes.
But a car these days can't. You get in the work truck that I got, the old 07 Honda Civic with a couple $100 in cash and no cell phone, no electronic devices, and I take off. You won't be able to know where I am or track me. That is
every Escalade can be turned off. Almost every car can be turned off.
Every car now, because if it's got the whole digital and it's got AirPlay and your iPhone hooks up to it and everything else, that means that you could be tracked. Your car could be messed with from a central location, a remote central location somewhere else.
And here's the thing too. Let's say you want to kill someone and you're like, okay, I'm going to turn all that shit off. Well, then they got evidence showing that you turned all that shit off. Why is that shit turned off? I mean, it's just like you're fucked.
That phone's off. Okay, but now I really, really got to run because I'm
okay. Bye.
Okay.
Okay.
Adios.
Thank you, Souza.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye. Okay. Bye. Bye. Oh, I can't kick you off. You got to kick your. Okay. Bye. All right. Bye. That's my truck doesn't even have a clock. Well, there you go. Anything you can do with a device, someone else can. I'm not sure what that means, but I like it. I think the show was before the truth came out about January 6th in his defense. Oh, come on. But here's no one. You can't, anyone who thought that January 6th was trying to take the government over is fucking batshit crazy. You can go. So what I did is I went to ABC News and I went straight to their thing. And I watched the entire Donald Trump talk. And then I went and got the transcripts from CNN. And I did that, or vice versa. I watched on CNN, then I got the transcripts from ABC News because I like to go to the most liberal, hateful places. And it was all, they already had permits to march on the Capitol. He said, we're going to go there and march peacefully. And then I don't care if they would have fucking run in the building and burned the whole place down. It still wouldn't have been an insurrection. You can't take over a building and then it takes over the government. It doesn't work like that. That's retarded. That's like thinking you take 2 weeks off the calendar and then all of a sudden all our lives are being shortened by 2 weeks. That building is not the government. It's just a fucking building. Like, what the fuck is wrong with people? But the fact that there was no fire, the fact that there were no guns. Oh, Sevan, there were guns. Okay, a gun or 2 guns or 3 guns, not like insurrection. Dude, in your mall, I just found out one of my friends that I hang out with all the time always has a gun on him. I have a handful of friends who always have guns on them. Libtard friends. So there's always a gun somewhere. I mean, it's just horseshit nonsense. There was never a second. I'm not attacking you either, Judy. I'm just riffing off of what you said. There was never a moment to think that that January 6th was an insurrection. That's just fucking crazy talk. Just absolute crazy talk. What does this say? Yeah, stay strapped always. It's all good. Thank you, Judy. Yeah, they forgot about the riots. Billions of dollars done. I've said this a million times. $760 million in damage just to Ferguson, which is a shithole town, little shithole town. $760 million just damage just done to Ferguson. Only $30 million at the Capitol. Like, come on. I'm looking at a quote. Oh shit! Really? Is that how I guess Andrew Hiller said I can never tell them apart. Which one is Marston? Which one is Heber? And then I responded, Marston is the one Brooke Ends cheated on. Holy shit! That was my response. And then it's someone sent me a screenshot of Caleb's face. Someone sent me a comment, DM saying that was the funniest show that they'd ever listened to, and that made me so happy. God, I love it when this shit's funny. What do you think happens if I play this clip? What happens if I play this clip? This one right here. This Chris. Do you think it even plays? Oh yeah, it plays. What?
About who's not working.
Wow. So I'll tell you what the clip's about. You ready? Sevan, read your DMs live. Fuck that. The reason why I can't do that is because people tell me some crazy shit in there. Although it's an interesting, I could start another account and do that. What if I started another account and did that? That could be a bit. That could be another bit. So I remember I was in Kenya with Greg, and we were driving, and we passed by this gas station, and there were like 20 guys hanging out in front of it, right? Just standing around. And he goes, "Hey, see that right there?" And I go, "Yeah." He goes, "That's the worst fucking thing you could ever see in society." I go, "What's that?" He goes, "Middle of the day, 20 unemployed fucking men between the age of 18 and 25. He goes, "That is a really, really, really bad sign." And I was like, wow, that is some fucking insightful shit. And this bit that Chris Rock does is he says, "Hey, I would love to live in a part of town." Or he says, "The part of town you want to live in is the part of town where you see women, sweaty women, walking around in sweatpants and Lululemon at 12:15 in the afternoon. That's the part of town you want to live in. You want to live in a part of town where there's tons of women who voluntarily don't work, who are voluntarily unemployed, and at 12:15 are walking out of a soul cycle. That's where you want to live." And he's making several points there. And he's talking, and there's some really fucking interesting, implicit, yet very poignant comments he's making about the roles that men and women have also. It's very, very interesting. And it's okay. It's nothing bad. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay that there's a cohort of women who are married to men who have made enough money so that the women can work out at 12:15 in the day. He goes on to say that my ex-wife is the smartest woman in the world. We got a divorce, and she got half, and she's never said anything funny in her life. Meaning I'm the one who tells all the jokes. She got half the money. Anyway, he goes on to say the part of town you don't want to live in is the part of town at 12:15 in the afternoon you see grown men riding kids' bikes. And if none of you ever lived in the fucking hood, which I've spent many years in the hood, you know exactly what he's talking about. Grown men riding kids' bikes. I know exactly what that looks like. And it's true. And it made me right away think about Jon Stewart complaining about gun violence in kids. I wrote in this Chris Rock piece, unemployed men are thousands of times more dangerous than guns, but you'll never hear Jon Stewart or any of the people who mistake symptoms for problems talk about that. Unemployed young men are a scourge on society. They are fucking the worst. I don't know what the stats are, but I guarantee you 90% of the people who shoot people are unemployed young men. Guarantee it. And but they don't want. That's the whole problem with the whole Jon Stewart thing. That's the whole problem with the gun control. They don't want to look at what the cost is of that. What do we give up? And on the other hand, what's the real problem? The real problem is we have a society with fucking shitloads of unemployed men without fathers. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Borders wide open, fentanyl problems, no fathers, women being rewarded. That was another thing that he said, that this guy John Andersen said. He talked about rewarding people. You fight so that you can have makeup sex, and then you start purposely fighting. I mean, that's the whole thing that's the argument of why there's so many single moms, because they reward single moms for being single. For example, in San Francisco, if you're a single mom and you're Latino or you're a tranny, you can be part of an experimental program that gives people universal income. It's nuts. Same thing happened with COVID. They addressed the symptoms. They didn't address the issue. We know that COVID didn't kill anyone except for people who were addicted to refined carbohydrates. Nobody. Not one. And the same thing with homelessness. There's no such thing as homelessness. We have a drug problem. And so what are they going to do? They want to find a way to put these people in homes because they think they're homeless. Well, now all we have are hotels full of drug users. I mean, it's not even sustainable. What it does is it exacerbates the problem. When you address the symptom and not the problem, not the disease, you most often exacerbate it. Same with type 2 diabetes. Every time someone takes insulin, they're shortening their life. All you got to do is quit eating Snicker bars. Or only eat the ones that Brooke Wells eats. Ben Shapiro's 3 tips. Don't have kids out of wedlock. Maintain a decent job. Graduate from high school. Yeah, I mean, it's, you know. Make guns illegal. Criminals will still get them. We'll just make a law-abiding citizens become criminals. Yeah, and that's another thing too. Right, very well said. And that's another thing. Like, I don't want to hear shit like about what people in New Zealand think about guns. You live on a fucking island that's smaller than fucking one of our major cities with fewer people. Like, shut the fuck up. You don't even know what the fuck's going on over here. I say that with peace and love. Yeah, exactly. Give us your used needles and we will exchange them for sterile ones. Yeah, none of that shit is working. Good morning, geez Louise. Oh, I was actually going to take my kids to church today. Believe it or not, it would have been the first time they'd ever been to church. These 2 girls that my boys do jiu-jitsu with invited the boys to their church today. So I was like, yeah, I'd do that. Take the 2 Jew boys to the church. All right. Well, thank you for the show. Thank you for John Andersen. Great show. I will see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be a crazy guest. Adam Kramer. It's going to be another good one. I want to do a show at night, a live call-in show, but usually by the time it gets to nighttime, I'm already prepping for the next morning's podcast. No. Was it the girl's mom who likes to brush her hair before class? No. It was a guy, it was a father who has 2 daughters, and he's got fucking prison neck tattoos. People, kids who do jiu-jitsu, their parents are fucking pieces of work. But this dude's a really cool dude, and he's got 2 really cool daughters, and I thought it was nice that they invited us to church. Mexican chicks from Watsonville. Church starts at 10. It's 10 now. Oh, yeah, disc golf show tomorrow. Shit, I got so much disc golf to watch today and tomorrow. Paulina, you look like you might play disc golf or date a disc golf guy. Happy birthday week, Sevan. Thank you. All right. I will see you guys tomorrow morning, 7 a.m., or maybe a surprise show tonight. Yeah, probably Catholic. You're right. Racist. Okay. Bye-bye.